Some of us think the red road is hard, very hard. But it all depends how you make your red road, whether you make it wide or narrow.
Because I don't want to be that asshole yet, though, not known for raging. You guys are going to hear a little bit of that from me tonight.
Well, I can say my morality is better than Hitler. You know why? I haven't killed any Jews, dude. I haven't
Subjective.
tried to take over the world. I haven't
Arbitrary.
tried to push my shit on everybody else. For you, how is my ethics the same as Hitler's? I mean, you're sitting here comparing fucking Hitler.
Prove it is better than Hitler's. Give me some kind of justification for that.
I'm not gonna lower myself to answer that bullshit. Compare me to Hitler. Go fuck yourself.
Also, to your point about prisoners of war and their children, like, sometimes for many subsequent generations, were, subject to that. Like, it wasn't just, the prisoner of war works off for a certain amount of time and then they can become a citizen. Their kids were considered property too, the same as in the American South.
I want to do it with my fellow half-blood.
But to me, I walk the red road, and it's a good red road. I love the red road. It changed me, and it brings me many good things in life.
Probably not hearing me now, so you probably can hear me now. What's up, you heathens and demons, you beautiful, blasphemous people? Welcome back to A Raging Atheist. This is Seeing Red. And yes, I do know that Jesus is Lord is broadcasting one of my videos right now. Broadcasting it without doing any interjections. He's just basically stealing my shit. But back then, I told everybody, I think, that they can mirror my videos. So I was like, I'll give him a fucking strike. But I'm not going to do that. It was our conversation. He was part of it. It's no big deal. Yeah. So what's up, y'all? Padme the Cat, Callan's here, Shay's here, Richard Madsen. I think we did send you a link if you'd like to come in. This is going to be an open room, so anybody that wants to come in, talk Christmas with us, you don't have to bash it. Me and Allie might do a little bashing. But if you'd like to come in and join the conversation tonight, it's an open room. We're talking Christmas. Come on in. Richard, we did already send you a link. So if you'd like to come in, you can come in. And what's up, Allie?
Hey, so I'm still trying to get the British out of my voice. It'll take a minute. I've had a really good day, apart from the fact that I had a terrible night. For everybody who was following things on Discord and didn't catch the updates, I'm doing a lot better today. For those of you who aren't in the know, I got several second-degree burns and a few first-degree burns on my face and chest last night when I was boiling a product called the Wonder Packs, which I'm going to heavily advise nobody purchase if you see it in the mall or somewhere else. The product itself is great when it works, but the mechanism for resetting it is you have to boil it. And the reason that I got injured, and it was the second time I'd gotten burned by trying to reset it, was because air bubbles from the boiling water, it was in a stock pot. It came up and it sort of broke surface as I was carrying it over to the sink and splashed boiling water all over my face and chest. So unfortunately, I've got good news. I'm going to be getting a proper workstation computer in my office, so pretty soon you guys are going to start seeing me on camera, because the only reason I'm not on camera at the moment is because I've got I'm sitting on my bed, and I don't think that's a good look. But that said, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to wear any sort of protective undergarments for my breasts or bras or anything for quite a while, because one of those burns is right on it. So that's unfortunate. But for those of you who are worried, I did go to the optometrist. One of the burns was on my eye, and the anti-inflammatory drops and the cold water wash that we put on it saved my eye from terrible damage. So there's just a bit of inflammation. There's a light thermal burn on my right eye, but it's getting better. So for all of you that were worried, I wanted to give everybody an update, because I DM'd a few people personally, and I put some things in one particular server, but not everybody in the audience is is part of our Discord yet. So for those of you who hadn't gotten the update, I wanted to give it. So that's now out of the way. This is going to be the last open room for 2019. Let's give a cheer for 2020. Hopefully we're going to be seeing some positive things. First stream of 2020 is going to be on eating disorders. So this is an all call for the community. Anybody who would like to talk about eating disorders, whether you were a clinician who's treated people with them, or you've had experiences with one yourself, or your loved one has, it's going to be just like the self-harm stream. We're going to be bringing people on to tell their stories. We're also going to hopefully be getting a guest or two who's got some expertise in the field. It's a well-known fact that I've got bulimia myself. I've been through treatment for it through my entire journey on YouTube and for quite some time before it. And I'll be telling my story there as well.
Awesome. We got a $2 super chat from Kent Hovind CPA. Pray the Pats lose Sunday and Chiefs win. I won't pray, but I'll send thoughts to the universe for you, Kent Hovind CPA. I'm sure you don't pray either.
You
Allie,
could run for it.
I was hoping to have time before the stream to talk to you because, I've been busy, been working all night. And yesterday we didn't stream, so I didn't get a chance to talk to you yesterday. But Will wants back in. Now, I'm the one that banned Will and told everybody that he can never come back in the Discord again. But I'm a forgiving person. But I told him that it would be up to everybody, not just me and you, but the mod team as well. And that he would, he can be Will. He just can't try to fucking, disrupt the Discord server, disrupt the streams, do the shit that we had found out. He said that he swore he would not do that again. And he's been on good behavior in the chats. But I will, we can talk about that later.
Well, personally, I think that this is something that we should, since it's being aired publicly, I think that this is a discussion that needs to happen in the mod chat.
Yeah.
I think that we need to talk to the team, and this is something that I would actually like to see solved democratically. I've got a fantastic mod team. I trust their discretion. Folks, not here in the side chat, but post your votes on that in the mod chat on Discord.
Yeah, and we can have a conversation about it as well.
Yeah, we can have a talk about it, but this is something I think is best not aired publicly, given it happened on the Discord server.
Will has made it public because he keeps giving me damn super chats asking if he can come back in the Discord. And I'm like, dude, paying for it ain't gonna get your way back in. I'm the one that banned you, and I'm the one that said never again. So...
Well, as I said, we've hand-selected the mod team. Several of them have been with us since the very beginning of the Discord.
Yep.
I trust the mod team 100%. I'm going to let them decide. Like, you and I will both each have our own votes as well, but this is going to be a democratic decision, and they outnumber us. So that's my choice.
Yeah, we will talk about it. We'll have a mod meeting, Will. I mean, it was messed up. You have been on good behavior, and I am a forgiving cat. So, yeah, I mean, just because you're not in our Discord doesn't mean you can't come on the streams. As long as you don't come on talking Nazi shit, we'll be fine. All right, all that out of the way, we should have a pretty good conversation tonight. I was planning on actually going back and looking at my old Christmas videos for this, and I just haven't had time to do so because the year in review has taken up a lot more time than I thought it would. Will Kincaid, $2. How about now?
Well, Will, so this is actually something that, all right, we've got, since this is sort of a dumpster fire stream, quote unquote, in the fact that we technically have a theme, but let's face it, this is just sort of a let's hang out and, do whatever. You were just talking about the old dumpster fire streams. That's effectively what this is. We can just come and talk about anything.
I think we've decided, like, pretty much every holiday we're going to get together and just bash the holiday no matter what, so...
Well, at the very least, the ones we have problems with.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
there
I
are a
pretty
few
much,
holidays
I
that
can
I don't have
find
an
a
issue
problem
with.
with anything, Allie. I can find a problem with anything. Anything can be an excuse to drink.
Okay, you are a problem, Knock. You're my problem. No. But this is actually, I want to address an allegation that Will threw at me. And that is this idea that I, got given the Discord server because I'm a patron. I would like you, in your own words, to explain just how silly that kind of is, given how short of a time I've even been your patron.
Well, yeah, and it's really funny because yeah, you're literally like my newest patron, and I'm fairly certain like well for one you've been the moderator and the administrator of Discord and the owner of my Discord since before you was a patron. Um, so yeah, I mean that was kind of just I think that was Will being Will. So
We've got a super chat. Mothra J Disco. I'm blocked by Jill, so is that an honor? Yes, you have pissed off one of the most, annoying trolls in this area. One that is being doubly annoyed by our mod team, who is, in this case, the YouTube chat mod team is being halfway led on that particular crusade by one Tony Designs, who is brilliant in the way that he can screw with people.
yeah, and Jill's a fucking Nazi, and if he's not a real Nazi, he's a Christian nationalist, and he's definitely a racist, definitely a sexist, definitely a homophobe, definitely just about everything you can think of. Jill is gonna fit that stereotype. So, like I've shown it in my year in review. Like, there's been like a at least for me on my channel and his interactions with me, there's been a progression with Jill. Jill was always started out as a troll. I brought him onto the channel because he was trolling in Scholar's chat, but at first he was somewhat respectful. That changed over time, and he has digressed into extremism. I do want to say, Pluto Alan Gallows said something about like in Discord trying to come in. If you want to come in, you can message Ali in Discord. I am never on Discord when I'm live because latency and all of that. You can message Ali in Discord. I think your name is Ali Akai, right?
Yeah, it's just a Leakai. It's the very, very top of the Discord. So, like, if you are part of the Discord server, which I'm sure one of our lovely mods would be more than happy to drop a link in there. I see RCA is in there. Callan is also around, and so is Angelica. So one of the three of you can feel free to drop the link there. If you're a member of the Discord, you can message me. You can message me if you're a member of any of the Discords that I'm a part of, because I've got my PMs open.
Mm-hmm.
In part because I am an administrator, so people need to contact me if something's broken, like, the bots always are.
Yeah, and Richard, please come in. Ali sent you the link first because we wanted you to kind of because I spoke of you in my stream with about Messenger earlier, and I wanted to kind of clear the air and not paint that bad picture of you, and Ali didn't want that bad picture of you painted, so we was gonna let you come in and kind of address that if you wanted to. But at the same time, I would love to have your perspective on Christmas, and especially some of the things that we might be saying about Christmas, me especially. But anybody that would like to come in, so anybody can come in.
Well, I know in the past he said that he also believes that it's a pagan holiday, which, Christmas being a pagan holiday is... The history on that is a bit messy, actually. When you start doing research on it, there's a number of traditions that are definitely pagan in origin, but there isn't one particular pagan holiday that it is based off of. It's just sort of an amalgamation of a bunch of different winter festivals throughout history.
Will Kincaid just spending money tonight. $2. Christmas is Brett Keen's birthday. Think about that.
Hey guys, remember, when you are so kind as to send super chats, we're working on trying to get money together for Noct to upgrade his rig. So I've actually built a it's a mid-tier sort of rendering computer, like a workstation type build I've put together for him on PertPicker. So like anything that you guys send is going to be helpful. Richard,
and I'm actually think I've got it to a point to where Patreon and the YouTube revenues, but YouTube revenues are really low unless like I get a shit ton of super chats. And YouTube takes most of those. I know there's like better routes. I think Streamlabs is like a better route. I don't understand how to utilize all that.
Streamlabs and Coffee are the two that kind of the most popular.
But
Richard,
I am to that point, Ali,
Discord.
where I think at least with
Zoom
Patreon,
link.
every month that money's gonna be put up towards new equipment. Since the car shit happened and it's not gonna happen like I wanted it to, I do think I have myself to a position to where that Patreon money every month will be put up. And that will definitely be saved towards new equipment. So hopefully sooner than later, I can at least get a better computer, and then we can work from there.
So Richard, your the Discord link is in your inbox on or the Zoom link is in your inbox on Discord. I sent it to you in response to folks getting worried about you on Knocker's channel when you sent me that message.
And Pluto Alan Gallows did say that we could send them a message. I know I'm fairly certain they are in my Discord. But I'm not in Discord. So yeah, like Pluto, if even just go in my Discord if you can get there. Mistress Angelica just linked it. If you're not there, I think that's mine. Then just come on in the Discord, find the password, and message somebody. We'll definitely get you in the stream. Or you can message me on Twitter if you follow me on Twitter and I follow you back. I'm bad about following people back, so we'll see. I'm really bad at Twitter. And Gmail, I can open that up. What's up, Richard?
Hey, Richard, welcome.
Welcome. How you doing, lady?
I'm doing a lot better than I was last night. That's for damn sure.
I guess so. That sounds awful.
Oh, it was. I was crying my eyes out. Thankfully, my boarder and my partners did a very good job of taking care of me. But yeah, I was in a lot of pain last night. It was not pleasant at all.
Yeah, I guess not. Peace and respect. Peace and respect to you all. Merry Christmas and all that.
Yeah, happy holidays. So before we invited anybody else in, I wanted to give you an opportunity because I don't know if you watched Knocker's live stream this morning. But he ended up showing the footage of the Messenger Reveals debacle, including sort of you kind of backing Messenger Reveals up quite a bit on his claims about PTSD. And I wanted to know if you would like to talk a little bit about that, because like I know that it kind of looks like a bad look to a lot of the community. So I wanted to give you a chance to speak, given that you've been on the channel for quite a while.
That's lovely. Thank you so much.
So
$2 real quick,
like,
Kent Hovind CPA, $2 for him to hear me say Patrick Mahomes is God.
So is there anything you'd like to say about that?
Oh, I'm already on. I had no idea. Peace and respect to everybody in that case. Yeah, I would speak to that. I think John's aware that I don't agree with him on all things. Mm-hmm. He's more than well aware of that. There are
John,
things I do
John
agree
specifically
with him on.
referring to Messenger, correct?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
because we have another co-host on this channel named John, so I wanted to clarify for those in the back who weren't quite sure.
Oh, sorry about that. Which John is that?
John Peterson.
Oh, of course. Wow, those two people are very, very separate in my brain. Even the name that's the same is very separate. Anyway, I don't agree with Messenger Reveals on all things, of course. In fact, I think that he and I actually have very little that we can agree on, but what we do agree on, of course, is all good. Funny thing, he and I actually have great differences about exegesis of, in context of the Bible. That's something we really disagree about. But I don't know. I don't know that I was really defending him as much as I was trying to be fair. In fact, when that conversation happened, I barely knew him. He and I had not even had a personal conversation at that point.
Yeah, and I think it was, I had maybe responded to something in chat, and people might have been taking that you was defending him today. I wanted to clarify that Richard wasn't. Richard was, I can't even remember the context of it, but you were being fair in chat. And yeah, you and Marty both really like Messenger still, and I think it might be because you might not be aware of everything. So that's going to be the point, especially in my next one, is really showing like what I found to be really bad about Messenger and why I can't show you the thing that happened that led me to kicking him off the channel and not letting him back in, because I deleted that. It was that bad. I deleted it as soon as it processed it. I actually stayed up late that night because it was another long stream, just because of what happened at the very end of it, so I could go and cut off the very end of that stream before I went to bed that night. It was that bad. And it was to the point to where I just dodged having a private conversation with him because to me there was just no justification for it, and he has continued to attack that individual person since up until as recently as yesterday, I believe, is the last I've heard about it. So it's
Yeah, he did that stuff on Converse Contenders, and we've been leaving the person's name out because we don't want to drag them any more into this drama than can be helped. You know, they've already suffered quite a bit of abuse at this person's hand, and for anybody who's you know, familiar at the time, you know, it happened on a live stream, so like that information's been out there for quite some time.
yeah, and a lot of
But
this is
yeah,
my
that
fault.
harassment,
A lot
it's
of it
basically
is-
a concerted harassment campaign at this point.
Yeah, and a lot of it is my fault because I intentionally didn't make a video at first showing everything that happened, because Messenger very publicly said that he was going to make a video on me, Cirrus, Dragnot, a lot of the people that had been involved with that. And so we waited for months and months. I mean, it became kind of like a meme in Discord. We waited for and I know, guys, we're not talking about Christmas, but we'll get there. But it became like a meme, like we're waiting on Messenger's response. And then finally, there was an incident where we suspected, at least, if not Messenger himself, a spy came into the Discord. And we pretty much know that happened. He denies it, but we know that happened. And that really triggered me, and I made a response video to where I actually did show everything. But I deleted it after conversation with many different people because we didn't want to give Messenger more recognition. But when the attacks on this one specific person, and he continues to attack AR as well, and he continues to attack other people, but this one specific person in specific, it pretty much came, it was like I've got to show what happened on this channel and have it in an area to where it can be utilized and explain why I made the decision, because usually I don't. You know, like I made the decision with Jill because Jill's a nationalist. I made the decision with Messenger for a very good reason. Praise, I'm kind of back and forth on my decision with him. So, you know, like it's usually a very extreme reason if I don't let somebody back on my channel. And I don't think that people have maybe seen all of those instances and quite realize just the vicious nature that Messenger Reveals has.
Although I've seen some of what you're talking about. I mean, I don't agree that it's a good idea to provoke an emotion, especially a negative one in people, to get their attention and seriously think about what you're saying. I don't think that's a good idea. I do think it's what John's doing.
Well, here's the problem though, like there are several things that John has done and said that lead me to believe that if he does have credentials like he claims he does, that he would have been disbanded from practice on ethics violations. Just simply because, number one, you know, every counselor that I've ever met, and even, you know, some of the training that I had when I was going through my nutrition course, you know, teaches that you don't just unsolicited offer like advice, you know, from the standpoint of a counselor to somebody who is not your client. Also, he consistently on his live streams violates his client privilege, talking about stories of people that he's counseled and such.
I think those are reasonable objections. I mean, certainly if he was professionally employed at the time and did something like that, it would explain why he's not professionally employed in the same exact way right now. That would be a really good reason. Now, I don't know, on the other hand, that he was doing that when he was working in that field professionally. And I don't know that he was. I don't know that he was.
Well, he claims that he had been actively treating people for 3 years with PTSD at that point, meaning that he had active clients, whether they were paying or not. He had people that he considered clients at that time because he says, I have been doing this for 3 years. And on those live streams during that time, he talked about his clients. Like on his live streams, I went back when this whole thing happened and watched, you know, quite a lot of his channel, and he talks frequently about the people that he counsels. Now, if these are real people and real stories that he's telling, that's terribly unethical.
The good news is that I have not done that research, and I have no intention of doing that research because I'm not emotionally involved with Messenger at that level. I think it is sad that he has offended so many people. And if he has something valuable to say, I believe lessened the audience for it. That is, he reduced the audience for it.
I'm
And I
right
think
there
that's
with you
unwise.
on that, Richard, because that was like when I first started talking to Messenger. That's what I was impressed with. Like, here's a guy that has a very different form of Christianity that seems more open to a lot more people than a lot of the Christians that I'm used to talking to. And here's a guy
Certainly true.
that's very smart, very intelligent, knows his shit. So it was very, very sad for me as this went through. And maybe I didn't convey myself strong enough to Messenger. I tried to really, behind the scenes, be like, dude, be you, do what you do, but like the attacks on people, like the one time, like Lady Tasha really stopped coming on the channel, I think, because of Messenger's attack on her, and he pretty much straight up called her a liar and said that her form of PTSD doesn't exist. And I don't want to say what it was because I can't remember exactly, and I don't want to take it out of context.
I can't remember it either. Yeah,
but and it turned out that in the state of New York, they did actually have that diagnosis where she lives, right? So Messenger was completely fucking wrong and just tore her apart. And she's probably been through more shit than anybody here has ever fucking met. Like, this young woman has been through shit, and Messenger just completely dismissed her. And she doesn't come on the channel much anymore. She does interact with me on Twitter every once in a while, but she really hasn't come on the channel since then because it fucking hurt her.
Right.
It hurt her mentally. And,
Right.
and Messenger, as a fucking therapist, should know better than that. It's unethical. Right. I mean, to me, that should have been the final line with me, but it wasn't, because I kept just hoping that he would not do it anymore because I like the guy. And finally, with this one specific person, it was like, all right, dude, because I asked him, I was like, don't do this, Messenger. Do not attack her. I walked away and I come back, and what the fuck did he do? He attacked her specifically, and he's been attacking her ever since. It's not cool.
Well, you're right. I have not seen these things. Now, I saw a little bit of, what's she call herself? Miss Sassy? Is that right?
Yeah, Miss Sassy, yeah.
Yeah, sweetheart. Anyway, I've seen a little bit of that interaction. Of course, I don't have time to watch every show that I'd like to.
Oh, yeah, like none of us do.
I don't even have time to watch all of yours.
And that's why I'm saying, like, it's mainly my fault, because I do know that you do at least watch me a lot. And had I put out that video on Messenger Reveals, maybe you'd be a lot more informed. And not just you, but Marty as well, because Marty still really likes John. And I really like Marty. Marty's a close friend. And I don't want her to end up getting hurt, because, and maybe she never will. Might never will. But then again, if she says one thing that crosses him, and she has been sharing personal shit with him, I could see, I don't want that to happen to her. Not saying that it would, not saying Messenger would do that, but there's good reason for it. And I do want to get to Christmas, and I want to start inviting other people in, but I really wanted to clear that air, because I unintentionally painted a bad light on you in that stream.
I didn't think so.
Well, I did a little bit.
I thought it was
afterwards.
honest.
But you're
I thought
a
it
good
was
dude,
honest.
Richard,
I didn't have any problem with it, man. I thought you were being straight up, and hey, I said what I said. You know, and it.
Well,
it's
it was
tape,
one
so
time when, like, I was responding to you in chat, and I think it came off wrong, to where maybe some people thought that you were defending Messenger today when you wasn't.
No, well, I don't feel like I need to defend him any more than I need to defend you. I mean, you're a man. He's a man. What he says, that's on him.
Oh yeah,
you know, what you say is on you. What I say is on me.
Yeah, and you're a good dude, and you're like me. You like to have a lot of people on your channel, a lot of conversations. Like, guys, if you guys haven't subbed to Richard, you should, because he does have a lot of conversations. I would be wary, nice. like I don't think that you're like in close with praise or Messenger Reveals too much. I would be wary of those two guys, and of course Joe.
Someday they're going to agree with me, but until then, no, I don't agree with them on all things.
Well, and for what it's worth, again, a lot of my objections to Messenger reveals have to do with the way that he treats other people. Denying
Right.
somebody's diagnosis is abuse, regardless. Like, no licensed counselor would ever do that. And if you've got a bloody master's degree and you've got clients, you better well be licensed, because you're practicing under the table illegally if you're not.
And I'm going to be showing a lot of Shay and Messenger reveals debate, and my next one I'm hoping is ready tomorrow.
Right.
It probably won't be, because there's going to be a lot involved in this one. It's going to take some time to get all the timestamps. But, I took shit because I was the moderator of that debate, because for not moderating Messenger's abuse on Shay during that debate. And it was just the start of it. I mean, it's... Yeah, I mean, Messenger, he when he gets backed into a corner, he tries to tear your throat out. I've always said that about, even like when we were friends, I would say that about him. You back him in a corner, he's going to rip your throat out. And he does it in very personal attacks, which is, it is unfortunate. But if y'all have any last words on this, we'll move on. Will wants a link. I didn't see anybody else so far that wants a link.
I got requests from Puff, and I got a request from the person that you had mentioned. Pluto Allen Gallows.
Yeah, Pluto. All right. So
all right. So here, I'll get links to everyone else. I just wanted to give Richard and Knock a chance to sort of talk that out on a live stream, given that it was just mentioned this morning. Because Richard, you are a friend of the channel, so I wanted to make sure that if anybody had anything to say about it, that it got dealt with, rather than any resentment or anything that might have formed happening, or any, like if somebody felt misrepresented or something. I wanted to make sure that that was taken care of,
Well, getting me all misty by making me feel loved is no way to get me to respond to this stuff. Okay, so you can knock it off with the friend of the channel stuff and all that. You got me.
It's the bloody truth. It's the bloody truth.
Yes, I feel it. I feel it too. I love you guys.
One of the first. I just showed your first appearance today. It happened to be the PTSD stream. I didn't realize that before.
No, there is one small point that I would make that I think even Shannon Q at some level would agree with me about this observation. Even though in the first several seconds in the very clumsy situation that she was pulled into, which was very sweet of her, she did feel defensive. But I think immediately after that, when it was clarified, and that's minus and the jab that she gave back that one time, presenting John's argument to herself by herself, that one little jab,
Yeah.
Other than that, I really got the impression that she was not feeling offended. Now that's the impression that I got.
Oh yeah.
And although I agree with almost everything you guys have said about Messenger, I have to say, if in my job skill I was, and I'm a mechanic and a construction guy, and I was talking to a customer and I said to them, oh well, you tap quarter 20 with 7/30 seconds if you don't have a November. And they said, oh yeah, I've done that several times, especially in softer metals where I was worried about thread depth. I'd go, what did you just say? How did you know that? And I'd ask them questions about their background. And
I don't think she was offended. I think she was clearly offended.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt about that one part.
I think she was clearly offended and confused by his usage of the word cure, as we all are.
Well, and not only that, but he opened up with, many people have made Shannon Q their personal, mental health messiah, which showed that
that was an error.
That wasn't just an error, though. He said it with so much venom that it was very clearly deliberate, and it was very clearly setting her up, in an antagonistic way. And I think that they were absolutely right to point that out.
And as I mentioned,
that was my impression even before they said something, was, holy crap, what problem does he have with her? He doesn't even know her.
As I mentioned, he did ask me way before that, if I knew Shannon Q, if I could hook him up with a conversation with Shannon Q. I think he's deeply envious of Shannon Q's position in the community, how popular she is, how big her channel is, and he feels like it should be him because he's got more education. But that's an issue because, as I said, several people have asked him about his own credentials, and he refuses to really give them, as far as I can remember. As I said in the stream, I could be wrong about that. I'll find out more as I go through the streams. But several people did ask him about his own credentials, and I don't think he ever gave them.
No,
I'm
and he
eventually
still
going to
haven't.
learn-
He's been asked repeatedly in live chats and other things for them,
Right.
and he's claiming he doesn't want to dox himself with them, even though like he's already doxed where he lives.
Well, and as I showed,
you know, and
it was
everything else in
it
his
was
own
his
streams.
like first questions of Shannon Q is, what is your credentials to be able to speak to me? You know, but he can't answer that same question.
Right. Well, you know, I think eventually what it's going to come down to for me is I'm just extremely forgiving of everyone.
Me too.
So
Me too.
and I mean, that's just my nature, man.
Me too,
You know?
and I forgave him a lot. I gave him chance after chance, but as I said, you know, and I'll show as much as I can. I probably won't show the last instance to try to keep this person out of it, but I think I'm going to be able to show enough, and I do think that
Right.
plenty of people remember that because it wasn't that long ago. It was like maybe 3 or 4 months ago when that specific thing happened, and it was a thing. Like I literally had several people. I mean, she spent that fucking night crying in a closet. You know, it was bad, and he still attacks her. It's Messenger reveals. If you're watching this, like I know you probably are, especially once you find out that we did spend some moment of time talking about you. Fucking stop. Just fucking stop. That's all I'm gonna say. But we can move on to Christmas now.
All right, so I
Couple up, I guess.
Yep,
Sorry.
Buff just
I
came
will.
in.
I need to figure out how I'm gonna send Will. I'm gonna actually have to open Discord. We'll be on good behavior because we will boot that ass.
Hey everybody.
All right, guys. Thanks for giving me a chance on that. Let's move.
So, tonight we were going to do a bit of discussion of Christmas, both whether people celebrate the holiday or not, as you know, whatever it is that they currently are, atheist, Christian, etc., you know, pagan. I myself don't actually celebrate it. I celebrate Saturnalia, which is a different holiday. It's a Roman holiday that is partially derivative of Greek one. So, but there's a lot of people who like to point and try to create direct comparisons between Yule or Yuletide and Christmas. And although there are some traditions from Yule that have made their way into Christmas festivities, Christmas itself is more of an amalgamate holiday. It's a holiday
Yeah, I thought
that
it was a mashup.
yeah, it's a holiday that sort of evolved out of a number of different winter festivals celebrated by a number of different cultures. And a lot of those bits and pieces of what we consider to be, you know, Christmas traditions were adopted by the Christians in part, you know, to sort of bring pagans over, but also to a lesser extent because people already practice that way.
Well,
I don't
I
know.
think, you know, I've put my beliefs out there, so I've done a lot of research. I think that part of the holiday was actually derived from Saturnalia. I've made that apparent. I think that Christianity, in an attempt to bring Rome and Constantine into their religion, had to make some concessions. And I think Saturnalia, as well as a lot of other pagan traditions, have been incorporated into Christmas. I will let other people talk. I'm trying to send Will a link. I personally, it is my opinion that this is not a Christian holiday anymore at all. I don't think that I don't think the Bible even closely indicates that Jesus' birthday would have been in December. I think that this is a capitalist holiday, but I'll speak more on that later.
All right, so I would like to announce for Will that the votes from the mods have come back in, and even if the remaining mod and both of us were to vote yes, it would still be conclusive. The resounding vote from the mod team is no.
But that's before discussion. We'll discuss it. Maybe people will change their minds because Will is harmless.
They've
That's just
listed a
awful.
number of reasons. They've been having a discussion themselves, Knock. They've listed a number of reasons as to why they don't. But the vote so far has been no.
Such bad news, Will. I just sent you the link.
Well, he's welcome to
there's
come on the
people-
stream, but
there's
like being
Pluto.
in the Discord is quite a different matter.
Yeah, and you know, maybe with time you'll change some hearts and minds, Will. But as I said, I also do want to discuss. I will look at everything once I get in Discord later. and see what everybody has to say. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, it was kind of messed up. It was kind of messed up, Will. So, and you had me very angry, and I ended up booting a lot of people, or I booted one person as well, I think. Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, I did. And then I had a lot of people booted because of it. So, but feel free to come in and we'll talk Christmas. We'll talk happy shit, and we will have a conversation. I'll tell people why I'm so forgiving and why I do actually like your baby manatee ass. But we can talk Christmas. Let me fix my screen.
Hello, Pluto, and hello, Will.
Hello. In case I'm still new to this whole YouTube game. In fact, I'm starting my own horror channel coming up here this next year. Would have started it last year, but such is. Nonetheless, I wanted to comment, Naka. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I wanted to comment on that ridiculous idiot you've been doing commentary on, that moron that was talking about how he once was gay and now is straight.
Becca Cook. Yeah, Becca Cook.
Yes, that fool strikes me as a special kind of stupid, because I've been a gay male since I was 13 years old, but I played straight, but I was still gay. So how can he turn straight? That seems kind of redundant to me.
Yeah, and I don't think he has. I think that he's just being celibate. So he's just not having sexual relations with men, which is what a lot of these fundamental churches.
Well, I mean, there's also a history of lavender marriage in the gay community. You know, those who don't want to acknowledge their sexuality, or they're embarrassed by it or other things, you know, may end up in marriages where they're not exactly sexually gratified or, you know, happy, but they do so in order to be acceptable either to their beliefs or to the wider community.
This happened with me.
Yeah, and at one point he literally said, like, Jesus cured him of like 80 or 90% of his gayness. And I was like, no, he didn't, dude.
How literally are you taking that whole being reborn as a new person narrative? Because that doesn't quite add up, you know. Like, let me go get my calculator, because this doesn't make sense.
And I still have actually one more video of him, and it's the worst one. The very end of that interview was like, because I totally understand. Some people were like, dude, you're being pretty hard on him, especially with the first video. And I'm like, just wait, because this is an escalation. This interview, it required like 5 fucking videos. And this
Joy and
was the
Rapture.
worst one.
Yes, I'm amazed at how you put up with these insipid fools. I mean, how do you do this without losing your own mind, Naka?
Well, I make it a point to meet people like Richard. so I get these good Christians on that just remind me that it's more of a human thing than a religion thing.
Let's face it, we've already determined that Richard isn't quite a Christian. He's more like a pagan with a patron god.
Well, but not just, even Messenger Reveals back before Messenger did his shit. It's like, I just, you know, that Christian vlogger would be another good example. I really look for Christians that can just remind me that some Christians can be good too, you know, and that it's more of a human thing, that no matter your religion, no matter your belief system, some humans are just really shitty human beings, and it could be their parenting, it could be their environment, their circumstances, it could be misfires in their fucking brain. I don't know, but some people are just really, really shitty human beings.
And some people just really want to cash in.
Yeah.
That's what I think with this. That's what I was saying. Is it seems like it's just an opportunity to sell a book or some, like, I don't know, like Kanye with his shitty gospel album. He's clearly just cashing in.
Yeah, you know, I agree wholeheartedly, Will. Like, yeah, and that was the thing that I got from Beckett. And that's exactly what I get from Kanye West. Like, Kanye West is doing this for money. He's doing this maybe even possibly because his crazy ass thinks that this will help him become president of the United States, something he's actually talked about for quite a while. Like,
talk about delusional.
Yeah, he's out there.
God done told me I needed another private jet. You need to sow your seeds today, ladies and gentlemen. Please put money in the bucket. And it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. You're so transparent. It's
Well, I
like,
guess with what you just said, Will, I guess that the capitalist holiday could actually be still a Christian holiday because I mean, yeah, Christianity's become capitalist. So
Well, I mean, Christianity has been capitalist for a very long time. I mean, even Catholicism, which sort of killed off most of the other branches of Christianity, when it ascended to power, like, there's a reason why the Pope could adorn himself in effectively the equivalent of the crown jewels. Like, they have a shit ton of money because political power and religious power have walked hand in hand for a good chunk of history, and Christianity has been no exception.
And thus
Yeah.
many lives have been destroyed.
yeah,
well, they can't.
It's like the Pope never heard the part where you're supposed to give away all your worldly possessions.
That's why they canonized Nicholas as Saint Nicholas for Christmas, because it's just co-opting. They just co-opt the local traditions, and then they're like, no, that's part of Christianity too, because he was like Jesus or whatever. And it's just, oh, okay, fuck it, whatever, I guess.
yeah.
Whenever
I did a really long history on Christmas, and there's some dark aspects of the history of it, and the pagan aspect of fertility for this holiday really stuck with this holiday right up until the late 19th century. We're talking like early 1900s, to where it started to become more of a corporate capitalist holiday about buying gifts for your kids and shit. Before that,
Well,
it was a drunken debauchery, get out on the streets and fuck type of holiday.
Nuka,
Yeah,
come on,
totally.
you're trying to get better about that. No,
I know, but
like
that's
our
next year.
ancestors have been screwing their way through the winter doldrums for all of history.
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
there's a
that's
reason
basically
why
what this
June is the
holiday's
number
about.
one month for birthdays.
Because I mean, the harvest holiday is Halloween. This is about being indoors, and what do you do when you're indoors and you can't go outside? Well, you keep yourself busy.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that be keeping somebody else busy generally?
Yeah.
Unless your
Keeping
partner
all of
is your
yourselves
right hand, I
busy.
suppose.
Like in London in the 1800s, like if you were to go to London at Christmas time in the 1800s, you would literally be seeing people having sex in the streets, literally, and it would happen in the colonies. I think it was actually a thing in the colonies to where each state really had to make laws against it, because that's what
No
the
screwing
season
in
was
the
about.
streets. God doesn't like it. God doesn't want to look at that shit. Put a roof between you and him.
Yeah,
Given the
people work
lack
for
of
you.
soap in London in that time frame, I don't think that would have been pleasurable to watch.
It
Well,
probably
I mean,
would have been
also
stanky.
given the fact that most people also used chamber pots at that time, there wasn't a lot of indoor plumbing yet.
Or wiping.
Yeah.
Well, chamber pots, as you all know, got dumped on the side of the street. So think about that for a moment.
And there's a lot of good aspects of the holiday. Like I like how family comes together. I actually like this time of year. I as much as I bitch about how cold Michigan is, I prefer Michigan to be blanketed in snow during winter, because that's winter to me. That's how I grew up. But the things I don't like about it is it's become about gifts, and it's become about most people in this country are not rich. The last statistic I saw, it was like at least like 40% of the country doesn't have $500 in the bank. So to have this end of the year holiday designed pretty much to take all of your fucking money, and money a lot of people don't have, to provide gifts for family. I wish this was more of a time where family came together and spent time together, maybe learning, maybe reading fucking books. I don't know. Like, if we just gave books as presents, I don't think I'd have as big of a problem with it. My daughter got this fucking hoverboard, and she's got tablets and all that, and I love it. I love the look on her face. I love Christmas with my daughter, but at the same time, it's like, man, I wish we were just like reading books and spending time as real family instead of, breaking ourselves.
I mean, if you think about it, it's really just a gambling holiday. Let's say you spend $300 on gifts, right? And maybe 10 people. It's like, are you going to get more than $300 in value of stuff back? Are you going to make up for all the fucking can't you're going to take? It's just another American tradition.
What are you going to do? Take your child to the store? Well, then again, this is America.
I've
my
actually
child,
done that. I've done it.
Well,
I'm like,
and there's been studies that have actually shown that it's actually better to get people like gift cards or just straight up give them money so they can buy themselves a gift that they like rather than gambling on giving people gifts, because most people do not actually know what their partners and friends like, even though they think they do. Most people will actually get a gift that they themselves like rather than something the other person would like. And
Yes, I've noticed that. Sorry, please.
oh,
See,
yeah,
this-
I do that too. Like, my daughter's tablet. Guess
Love
who's
your
using
tree,
that
Will.
bitch? Guess who's using her
Yeah,
new
yeah,
tablet?
you
That's me.
Do you see this shit behind me? All of this exists 4 days before Christmas because I swore to God that I was not going to celebrate this one more fucking time. I said I can't afford it. I converted to Judaism, and it's like I don't know what the fuck am I supposed to do. So I had to go buy a fucking tree at Walmart, and then all the ornaments, and then wrapping paper, and then all this other shit. And it's a hassle that I just didn't need, but I tried to hold out. I almost got out of it this year, but 4 days before I was like, fuck it. So I did actually get gift cards for people. I was like,
Well, I mean,
whatever.
The longer the longer you are a Jew, the more you become a Jew, I guess. So maybe next year you'll get away from the Christian holidays.
Race.
Yeah, racist. No, I think it's pretty cool. Like, didn't you mention like 30-something% of American Jewish people practice Christmas?
It's 33%. I wanted to remember last year I told you what I got for Christmas. My mom got me Dashboard Jesus because she's an asshole.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's seen your stream. So the other day, I don't think this is official. You're gonna be pissed, but it's kind of hilarious. She got me this fucking "Make America Great Again" hat.
My dad got
He's
two
such-
of them at the rally here. I'm like, oh my, and he put it on Facebook. I'm like, Dad, no.
That's great. Kindling.
But
dude, I actually saw the funniest joke version of that hat. It says "Make red hats wearable again."
That's pretty good. That's
I
pretty
mean, I
good.
got this hat too, but this is from Pokemon, so it's different. I this has been mistaken for a MAGA hat before when I was on vacation. in
Oh,
Maine.
dude, if I see red, I just assume.
I
Well,
know.
that's
That
why
looks like
that's
me,
why
like-
that hat existed. Make red hats wearable again. It's in the same bloody font too. It made me laugh my ass off.
Well, with the
It's
white on that hat, it reminds me of Ash from Pokemon.
No, well, yeah, it's not. This is it's more complicated than that. This is a custom made hat. This is from the original box art from Pokemon Red version for the
Oh.
A custom-made trucker hat, Will.
yeah, I know, but it's got the thing that the player character in Red version has on it. So it's from the original art. It has to be custom made. They don't make them.
If my ex-girlfriend Jen is watching, she is deeply jealous because she collects trucker hats. So she just
Oh,
learned a
fuck
new
yeah.
thing.
All right, so let's get a quick survey of the chat because a couple of people haven't gotten to speak very much. Who here actually did some sort of celebration for Christmas this year? Atheist or not?
Well, I'm pagan, and this year I tried to join the hostel that I'm staying at. I've been displaced, and so it's been kind of difficult being disabled, and we won't even go there. But I tried to make the house happy this year, and we actually had a pretty successful time. We cooked a big turkey, learned how to cook one for the first time this year, and I just tried to bring pleasure to everybody. I mean, last Christmas Eve, I lost my father. The Christmas Eve before that, I was bedridden. Fortunately, I survived, barely by my own merit. But this year I'm displaced and separated from my own emotional support animal, and I'm not even going to go into the legalities of that. But I'm just saying, I've been able to find some peace and happiness despite all the turmoil.
Yeah, that's good. My mom died right after Christmas, actually on my daughter's birthday 4 years ago. So every Christmas there's that element of it sucks when it falls in that time of year.
I was hoping for 2 more years. That's all I wanted last Christmas, I tell you that. But I know you know what I mean. You always want another year, another 2 years, another 10 years. I digress.
Yeah. I'm still hoping for that pill that makes us all live forever.
Oh, if only.
So, Puff, did you celebrate Christmas this year?
And this year I actually did, but not like I celebrated like I used to, which is like my family. When I grew up, I don't know how you're supposed to celebrate Christmas. Like I couldn't tell you. Like I don't know. Like I know like some people do the tree thing. Like we've done like a bunch of different ways, but it's never been the same way twice ever. So like the only thing that's been a constant is like the family gets together, right? And it's one holiday where the family gets together. Everybody has to be nice to each other, and you can't argue. You can't start a fight with anybody until 8 o'clock the next day. So it's just like a thing like that. But this year, me and my wife flew down to Georgia to visit our family, and we did basically the same old thing that I was used to doing. You know, no real gift exchange or anything like that because I didn't have no money for that. But like we flew down there because we had booked a trip and started paying for it and everything before my dad died, and then he died, and yeah, and so we had to take the trip. You know what I mean? We couldn't get our money back. You know what I mean?
I'm really sorry about
Yeah.
that, Puff. I understand. Believe me, I do.
Yeah, so yeah, and it kind of sucks, like now I have to take this trip, right? And spend money that I really don't have, you know what I mean? Like, because I've already paid for tickets and a rental car and
Oh,
a hotel room. I can't get my money back, right? So like it sucks. But
Yeah, I know about
we
money
went
problems.
and it was cool, man. So like we got to see our family and everything. I got to drive a car that I'll never be able to afford, like a 2019 Toyota Corolla. The thing had like lane tracking assistance, radar cruise control. I was like, this is amazing. The future.
congratulations!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing. Beats my 95 Integra. This is awesome.
Yeah, I
Whenever-
just upgraded my car. It's like a different world. I'm like, holy shit, this is how people.
How's
Yeah,
that new
yeah.
car working, Naka?
Say what?
So
How's
for
the
the
new car
folks in the
working?
chat, by the way, that are looking for the password, read the rules. It's in the rules. Once you type it in, a mod will let you in.
It really is in the rules, guys. It's there, like no
Like
joke.
every single person that I've said it's in the rules has been able to find it.
But
Yeah, you gotta love
what
Discord.
I found was like I thought was super cool this year was that I didn't know because like in my family we grew up 4 brothers and my dad raised us, right, and he was military, so we were raised not to really let anybody know if we're having trouble like emotional problems or anything like that. And I guess my brother had, since my dad died, didn't have nobody to talk to about it, nobody to deal with it about it, and he just been internalizing it, and it was destroying him inside. So apparently it had erupted just before I got there. But when they found out that I was coming like the week before, like it just made him so happy and peaceful and everything. Like, and then like he's actually able to enjoy the holiday or enjoy the time with his family and stuff like that. And while I was there, we worked through it a little bit, but I was like, man, I just didn't know, but I was glad I was able to go down there and make his holiday better,
It does help. I mean, the last couple years with my father were the best in our lives because when I was younger, he had chosen the bottle over me, and so we were estranged for a good 15 years. And we came back. He saved my life and took me in, and then we got illegally evicted from his old apartment complex. Had to get a restraining order against the crazy landlord, the whole schmear. But we spent a year together in a peaceful, happy home, and then unfortunately, like lung cancer hit us out of left blue last October, and he just couldn't make it through Christmas. But it is. I understand. It's just been I can't even imagine.
Lung cancer is like my greatest fear right now. Lung cancer and heart attack is the 2 things that I fear the most, and it's the main reason why I'm going to be making a very conscious attempt to try to change shit about myself. Because if I don't change myself, then that's going to be my daughter dealing with lung cancer, probably.
Well, that's a good segue into my Christmas, actually, because my father-in-law is in the hospital right now. He's had, like, I've told you a bunch of times that about how he has lung cancer and brain cancer, but now he has pancreatic cancer.
Oh,
so
God.
this Christmas is probably the last one.
I'll be right back.
We haven't even had Christmas with him yet because he's been in the hospital and we didn't want to do it there. Hopefully he'll be getting out soon. They think maybe it's pneumonia, not pancreatitis, which would be better. They got antibiotics and stuff like that, which unfortunately means since he's probably not going to live to the end of 2020, we're going to have to move up the wedding again. So I might be getting married probably in February now. So
Tis the season to be sick, it seems. Lots of people having loved ones with illnesses.
unfortunately, yeah, it's that's the other reason I got the tree is because it's probably like we thought that they had got all the cancer. The tumor had been removed in his brain. They were treating the lung cancer with chemotherapy, and it looked like his scans came back clear. The lung cancer, the tumor was gone, and then the lung cancer hadn't spread. It seemed like, and then they got a new set of scans like a couple weeks ago, and it's back, and it's super aggressive. So that's
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like
I am
both of my grandmothers were taken by cancer. One of them was taken by skin cancer that made its way into the blood, and well, after that, it was everywhere. The other one died from intestinal cancer that was in 5 other organs by the time they even found it, and by the time she started showing symptoms.
yeah. I did get some good news. I have a buddy in Massachusetts who he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and we were on vacation when we found out, and he had this giant tumor under his armpit, and we were like, you're gonna die. You need to go get it checked out. And then me and our group of friends pressured him to go get treatment, and now he's in remission. So that was good.
That is good news.
Yeah. Well,
Fantastic.
So, Richard, did you get a chance to do anything to celebrate Christmas, or do you celebrate Christmas?
I normally would celebrate Christmas. Right now, I'm celebrating survivor's guilt because all this bad stuff has happened with you guys, and I've been having actually a really easy time. And so I'm really sorry I've been having an easy time, guys.
Oh, don't say that, Richard.
Yeah.
Just give thanks that you've had that.
You know, I am. My baby sister recently moved down to where I'm at, and it's a nicer area. She's doing really well here, and we've been spending a lot of time chilling. So it's been really awesome, actually. So,
Well, cherish every moment. We don't know how long we
do.
have.
I really do. I say to people all the time, you know, in today's times, if you can just let someone know that you love them, and just try to accept that they love you back, and just try to be appreciative of that. I mean, I think that's, for me, that's what this season's all about.
that's what I like about Christmas.
As far as Christianity is concerned, I'd have to tell Christians that you don't graze your sheep at night in the winter.
All right.
Even in Arabia, that's just not how that works.
That's exactly my argument, Richard. It's like, yeah, the sheep are grazing. I mean, how the fuck is his birthday now?
Well, and also the manger was warm enough for a birth. Like, that would not happen in the middle of winter, especially, like they would have had to set the straw on fire if they would have, been able to keep warm. So it had to...
That would have been a completely different story.
Yeah,
that would have been a very different story.
And Christians, if you are in the chat and you want to be stupid and apologize for this, and oh yeah, it's a bunch of desert, it's always hot. Back then it was very fertile land, it was very green land. Look at your Bible, it talks about the promised land a little bit.
Well, yeah, and where it was taking place, it gets fairly violent seasons. Also, have you ever been in the desert at night? The temperature drops remarkably.
Drops so dramatically. Yeah,
I was actually stuck there for 7 months in approximately the correct area, and you'd think 70 degrees is not all that cold, unless it was 130 during the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get that, like, up here, it's 40, 50 degrees outside. Some people aren't even wearing a long sleeve shirt. They got a t-shirt on, because we're used to -0 this time of year, and especially like when a week before you're getting a fucking snowstorm, it's, below freezing, and then it's 50 degrees. You go out you go out in a t-shirt, it's springtime to you. To where down in Florida, 70 degrees, they're going to be wearing a jacket.
Well, I mean, also in Florida, 70 degrees is soaking through that bloody jacket because, let's face it, the humidity down there is painful. Yeah. Like, 80 degrees feels like you're boiling in your bloody skin because you can't sweat it off.
Yeah. But I did do research on this. The climate of Israel 2,000 years ago was vastly different than it is now. It does speak. It is one of the things that the Bible gets right, is when it speaks about the lush, fertile land that was Israel, the promised land.
What happened?
Climate change, dog.
My God is bigger than your God. I think that's part of the major problem as well.
Right. My dick has a bigger dick than your dick, right? Gotcha.
You know, I am
Precisely.
actually enthused because I just I saw a study. I can't remember this study. I wish I could. But more and more Christians, especially younger Christians, but more and more Christians are on board with this whole climate change thing. Fewer and fewer are denying it. I was very enthusiastic about that.
I did actually post a really interesting article, and I wanted to do either a video or a stream on it. There was an interesting article that was posted recently about a study that was done, and this is one of those water is wet type studies, though it might anger some of the Christians that are lurking in our chat that are, thing will get set on fire at some point when somebody decides to go, oh, you're talking about Christianity again.
They can always come on and defend it.
Yeah, if we, this room is pretty much closed unless we get another Christian on who wants to come start a dumpster fire, in which case, bring it on.
No,
Yeah, I
you
would
can't
love a
actually
Christian to
defend
come in, please.
Christianity.
Oh, I mean, we keep forgetting Richard's a Christian.
Richard
yeah.
thinks he's a Christian. I'm picking on him, but Richard, you believe the other gods exist. You've said that before, so you're a pagan.
Yeah, Richard, it is far past time for another one-on-one. We're gonna do that first of the year because I think I'm gonna actually hold off like a week or two before I really get back into edited videos because this damn raging year shit's taken so much of my time and I didn't actually take a break. So
Well, it's always an honor to come on with you, Knock, and I appreciate that. For now, I'm going to see you guys later. Thanks for letting me on your channel for a minute. I'm going to watch this later on and maybe get something in the side chat. So you guys have peace. Respect to you all.
All right, yeah, thanks for coming on, Richard.
Pleased to meet you.
All right, so there's somebody in the side chat that's claiming they're a Christian and wants to come on and defend Christianity, and they just joined the Discord and actually made it through the rules. So found the password and everything. So link has been sent.
Oh, good. Fresh meat.
Yeah, I would like to hear their perspective on if it's a Christian holiday or not. I know that it is. I'm not saying that it's not, but at the same time, like, do you recognize history? Do you recognize what happened 400 years? I think it was about 400 years after Jesus died when most of the shit was determined.
So as far as Christianity is concerned, what I was trying to say was, so fundamentalist Christians and atheists were both surveyed, and they were asked what group they disliked the most out of the list. There was like fundamentalist Islam was on there, pagans were on there. There was a bunch of different options, and so they took the subsamples of fundamentalist Christians who said they disliked atheists the most, and they took the subset of atheists who said they disliked fundamentalist Christian the most. And they asked them a number of questions related to First Amendment rights and if in their ideal world, certain, these people would extend these rights to this other group. Now, approximately 30% of the population will deny these rights entirely to groups that they dislike. Things like free practice to assemble, protest, free speech, etc. Your First Amendment basics. So it turns out that less than 30% of the fundamentalist Christians would extend those rights to atheists, but over 50% of atheists would extend those rights to fundamentalist Christians if given the opportunity. So atheists are more they're more like open to doing such things. They're more, I guess, compassionate would be the better way to put it, or at the very least, forgiving to the parties that they dislike than fundy Christians are. It was a fascinating piece to read, and I actually went and read the study. It was obviously like one of those on the street polls, but the fact that fundy Christians were so willing to be open to the fact that they would strip these rights from atheists, and I would say that would extend to pagans as well, given that we're put in the same category often by Christians.
Yeah, and that part of that is really encouraging, and part of it is very disheartening. So like the encouraging part is that despite some of the louder, more toxic voices of atheism, including myself for a very long time, that would say that they would want to eradicate religion, right? Despite those loud voices that we often hear in dumpster fires on Twitter ensue, that at least half of atheists are like, no, we're secular and we're humanist and people should be able to be who they are. That has always been my position, even at my most extreme phase of this channel. I've always been a secular humanist in that. The discouraging part would be that Christianity, as I've often said, and as I'm about to do another witch trial video, people think that that's so far in the past. With Christianity, it's inherently in the religion, in my opinion, to where it's just under the surface. And with a little bit of nudging, that 30% can easily become 50, 60%. So
well, and the thing
that's
is,
what's
it's like,
scary
it
about
shows
it.
that a lot of us that have spoken out about against fundamentalist Christianity, and I did see that you came in. I'm concerned. Like, I'll address you in a moment. Welcome, by the way. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I really like it when Christians come on, especially like if you're not Praise or Jill.
But for a long time, atheists and pagans have spoken at length about how we're afraid that, you know, basic fundamental rights of ours would be stripped away if, you know, if fundamentalist Christians got their will in Congress. And this, in part, proves that we were quite right to be scared and that they are not. You know, the war on Christmas crap that they put forward, you know, well, if atheists got into power, we wouldn't be allowed to go to church anymore, things like that. Like this whole fear-mongering campaign, it's clear that secularists don't want to destroy their right to be themselves, but they most certainly don't want us to have a right to be ourselves.
Aaliyah Jaime, oh, forgive me.
Oh, go on.
Might I interject that the war on Christmas is indeed a falsehood, but the war on Yule has been going on for over almost 1,000 years now.
What about the war on Hanukkah? What about the war on Hanukkah? Damn it! Nobody wished.
Oh yes, that goes back even farther, doesn't it?
I feel so fucking oppressed. Everyone says Merry Christmas to me, not one Happy Hanukkah.
You say it as the Christmas tree glows brightly behind you. I don't see your candles, though.
Hold on. Oh, well, I don't have a menorah but listen, I have 9 Shabbos candles, which I was just like, whatever. So,
ain't hypocrisy grand.
I wore this fucking sweater around all Christmas, and nobody wished me a Happy Hanukkah.
J-Dubs gave you that as
Happy
your Christmas
Hanukkah
present, right?
No, I bought that a couple of years ago. When I was
so you lied too. Yes. Yeah. Are you sure you're not still a Christian?
I entered it in an ugly Christmas.
Well, he was an atheist before he became a Jew. Was you ever a Christian, Will?
For a minute, yeah. I mean, until I was like 12 or 13.
And you wasn't ever really an atheist either, so.
All right, so
I laugh at myself. I'm sorry. I keep your camera on, Will, because I got mine off. I'm smoking bud, and I don't like to do that shit on camera.
Yeah, I might actually go grab one of our Christmas joints. The local pot shop actually put them on sale. We got a 4-pack for like $15.
You guys are so lucky you live in a weed legal state, plural state. I don't know how to address that.
It is the best thing ever.
Yes, we are.
I agree with that.
Hello, I'm concerned, by the way. Welcome to the dumpster fire. You know, go ahead and edge up to it and put your hands up to it if you're cold.
Add some lighter fluid, of course.
Right, exactly. There's a joke going around on my Discord that I live in a literal garbage heap, which there's pictures of my face photoshopped over Oscar the Grouch. So
that is the cleanest garbage heap I have to admit I've ever seen.
Well, no, it's because hold on. No, you're gonna be disappointed with me. I do everyone's everything. I do there's 3 other people that live in the house with me. I do all of the laundry and all the dishes. I am the bitch of the house because literally no one else will do it, and I don't want to live in an actual garbage heap. But look at this. This is just today's laundry. There's an absolute fucking pile.
Oh, I stand corrected.
You should start burning their laundry instead of washing it. I bet they start doing laundry soon.
No, be careful, Naka. There might be souls flying out of that like Homer Simpson's underpants, you know.
Yeah, I saw that episode.
Alrighty, so we should give a chance for our newest guest to come in because we asked for a Christian to come in and we had one come in.
Let's get him. No, just kidding.
I'm not all that interested in dogpiling on people if they're being polite, and this person has been polite so far. So,
of course.
Well, if I'm going to be quite honest with you, I believe that Christianity has come from a far place of just being a nice person. Nowadays, it's used as a judgmental and criticizing religion, where basically if you're not quote unquote within Christ, you are going to burn in hell forever.
Give me a half a moment. I need to play moderator. Pluto, can you keep yourself muted when you're not talking? You've got quite the sensitive mic, and it's picking up traffic.
Oh, forgive me. Yes, sorry. How do I pause my mic? Oh, I see it now.
Okay,
I'm
thank
jealous
you.
of your mic.
Just don't forget to unmute if you want to speak, because Nock is well known for forgetting.
No worries.
So to be honest with you, if you go by what the Bible says,
Which part of the Bible?
yeah,
Just the Bible.
overall, people just, how do I put this? Overall, Christianity is really just used to criticize and judge. Whereas I agree with what Raging was saying earlier. There are good Christians, but there are also those that use it as far as that goes. So
I feel as
Yeah, I
though the
agree.
latter category has gotten larger in recent years, in part because of a lot of the fundamentalist movements. You know, you come up with things like the tent revivals and stuff, and those are obviously like the craziest of the lot. But then you get like these massive movements. You know, there was a movement against gay marriage. There's movements against transgender people.
I think a lot of it, I'm gonna get kind of Star Wars on you, is balance, right? So like
My religion.
you have a black president, and then since then you have a rise in racism. You have Donald Trump. You have all of that, and I think with the rise in secularism, a rise of people really pushing for equality for everybody, then you do have those fundamental elements that are hell bent on not allowing that to happen. Well, they become more adamant in their activism, and I think that it's that balance to where they're able to suck in a lot more people because extreme shit's happening. When you make when gay marriage became legal, I think it made it very easy for people to play on people's fears.
By the way, since Ursiage is kindly shilled, I want to interrupt really quick. You guys only have 4 more days to sign up for Patreon if you want to get that special Patreon backer reward that we're going to be giving out at the end of the year. So you've got 4 more days to get that.
And to be clear,
Nock and I have actually officially decided what it is that we're going to be doing, and it is going to be very special,
It's gonna
and
be
only
good.
patrons are going to be getting it.
And to be clear, you have to be a patron before January 1st, but the gift won't come until I think we said April, but it's going to be a good gift, and you guys are going to love it. So yeah, I'm really actually excited about that. It might even be March, April time.
How many Patreon bucks do I have to give for that?
Anybody who is
Anybody.
a patron currently, we decided, because we have such a small number of patrons currently, anyone who is a patron before January 1st, and keep in mind your payment does have to process in January in order to be able to get this,
All right.
but
lowest
anybody
tier
who's
is
a
$1 a
patron,
month.
At the end of December, on December 31st, we're going to be making a note of all of those names, and we are going to be giving out a very special exclusive gift that is only going to be coming out specifically for patrons that are patrons before January. We're also going to be revealing the Patreon rollout in the first stream of January. Nock and I are going to discuss it at length. We're going to talk about the new Patreon reward tiers and, the various gifts and things you'll be getting as a part of that. We're trying to make Patreon a lot more worthwhile because Nock is going to be trying to fund a new computer to bring up the value of the content
And
for you guys through it.
I'm really bad. Like I'm a routine dude. I've got OCD. Allie thinks I'm ADHD, but I'm routine. So if it's not in my routine, it's really hard to become routine. Patreon has been that. I have moments where I'm really good, and I have moments where I'm really bad. I haven't lived up to any of the benefits that I set when I created it. I created it haphazardly because people were telling me you got to do that. So Allie's gonna come in and actually make it good. So
How about
thank you,
access to the Discord, special Discord role?
But yeah, it's gonna be a special gift, and we're excited about it. But
Also, the patrons are going to be getting a special Discord role and their own special chat where they'll be able to talk with Noka. Noka has promised to be more active in that section of the Discord for those patrons, specifically to make that particular gift valuable. But as the Discord grows, he's going to be interacting with the larger community a bit less as time goes on, because our goal is to roughly double to triple our channel size by the end of next year. And Noka and I are going to be going through like everything from like keyword wizardry to high quality content to we're launching at least one new series, perhaps two, at the beginning of the year. And it's going to be fairly unique content as far as atheist content goes. We're going to be having a lot of fun dissecting movies that are not explicitly Christian, but have Christian and Calvinist themes in them. And we're going to be examining, the way that those sorts of things infiltrate narratives. So you guys are going to have a lot of fun with that. We've decided that the first movie we're going to be looking at is the original Star Wars. So we're going to be going through that and talking about
and
the
I'm
various
gonna make my daughter watch
Savior
all three
narratives
of them
and
again,
things
just
of that nature.
just because we're gonna be doing this series, I'm making her watch them all again. Because
So
you've
what
got to
you're
do
saying
that to children. If you're gonna indoctrinate your children, it should be with sci-fi.
So
what you're
I'm
saying is, I could hypothetically buy my way into the server.
I mean, technically, you'd have access to that chat and nothing else.
Well,
I've been a Star Wars fan.
I'd make a special. If the vote holds, I'll make a special Will Kincaid rule that will only give you access to the Patreon chat so long as you're a patron.
All right. How much are you bilking me
What you
for?
need to do is you need to start buttering up to some moderators, Will.
Well, what Tony Design opens a live chat, I'll send him some YouTube bucks.
You should beg that Christmas holiday spirit.
I mean, ultimately,
go
technically,
brown
the
nose a little
decision
bit.
is mine, but I'm actually, an anarcho-communist, so I tend to stick most things in the democracy category. So you really do have to convince my mods that it's worthwhile.
It's my fault, Will, because I got mad at you and I booted that ass.
You want to talk briefly
I can
about
see
what
why.
happened since Puff is in here? Do you want to talk briefly about what happened, or do you want to just skip the drama?
Let's skip the drama. We're
let's
having
skip
a
the
good
drama
time.
for now.
And
but
I'm
I did
concerned-
undelete you on Facebook, so you can message me and
Facebook? You mean Discord?
Discord. Yeah, dude, I'm.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So I'm concerned
Been
you'd
smoking
actually bring up
weed.
an interesting point. And the problem is I'm not sure I completely agree with you. I think that Christianity was quite progressive for the time in some aspects. The idea of, for example, the poorest among us shall be exalted. But at the same time, there's a lot of really issue-driven things in even just the New Testament. Even if we were just to pull sort of the words of Jesus himself, like he talks extensively about slaves obeying their masters even if they're terrible. And, Paul talks extensively about how women are to talk and how they're to be submissive and all sorts of things. There's a lot of things that are not so kind. Spare the rod, spoil the child from the Old Testament and things of that nature. So, I mean, it's a pretty barbaric book in a lot of ways.
Oh, of course, I certainly agree. I can't say that I necessarily agree with everything that is in the Bible, especially with things such as even a horrible master should be obeyed by their slaves, as you pointed out. But my thing is, I'm more so agnostic than Christian. I believe in a God or a higher power. I've found that if you actually look at the testaments from the 12 disciples in an analytic way, there are so many small differences in all of their accounts for what happened before their very eyes, quote unquote. You can find that there are so many small differences that they weren't all just colluded.
So glad that I'm a Jew in this conversation, because in Judaism,
I think that there's big differences that I just don't think.
Only the Gospels of 4 of the disciples are considered canon.
Well, think of the Bible as this. The Bible seems to me to be the classic game of cups and twine. Where you sit there and you tell a story and you pass the cup. You whisper. Excuse me, that's the wrong thing. You whisper into someone's ear, they whisper into someone else's, and the story is
telephone.
by the time it gets to the end. Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and you seem like the type of Christian that I usually like. So like you've been able to pretty much um, look at the Bible and find the parts that you can associate to maybe your modern reality, and then dismiss the parts of the Bible that just based upon modern reality are atrocious. And I think a lot of Christians can get to the point to where, like, that's just how they were back then. That's not how we are now. This is a book, and God speaks to me, so I'm able to decipher what's real and what's not.
But my question is, though, is at that point, like I brought up frequently that Christians don't have a praxis in the way that pagans do, which Pluto, I'm sure, can talk, miles and miles to this point. But like, when I talk about practicing my religion, there are specific things I do every single day.
Yeah, you triggered a lot of Christians with that shit, Allie. It was beautiful.
Oh, people can get angry at me if they want to, but there is no.
It was sweet. I loved it.
After animal sacrifice was abolished, supposedly by Jesus' sacrifice, which a lot of people take Paul's letters as, authority on this, what exactly practice physically marks you as a Christian? Obviously it's sort of defined more about what you think, but even then, the Bible is so malleable that you can find verses to support just about anything you want to think. Well, apart from women being equal, like that's not in there, and getting rid of slavery, that's not in there either. But both of but like for the most part, do you get into heaven by your works? Well, there's verses for you. Do you get into heaven by your faith? There's verses for you. Is there even a heaven at all? Well, there's verses for you on both sides of that. Like in the Old Testament, they talk exclusively about Sheol. And, in the New Testament, they talk a bit about heaven, but heaven isn't explicitly described apart from hell being the absence of God. So I think the problem with Christianity as a basis for being a good person is, why would you need God for that? Like, I don't need my gods for my morality. My morality is philosophical.
In the Torah, there is a sort of a concept of hell too. It's called Gehenna, and the amount of time you spend in the fire is determined by a number of factors. And there's a sect of Judaism that believes in reincarnation too. So.
Well, I mean, as far as Gehenna goes, though, like that's hell, though. That's not heaven.
And
they don't talk about heaven.
Let's just acknowledge, right? So burning is the worst pain that a human being can feel. It is. It's the worst pain. I've actually been burned in my life, and I did it intentionally. I have brands.
I just got burns all over my body like last night.
I had brands. I was held down. I was held down, and they branded me like a cow. But they did it very slowly. It was very. If I showed you on my chest, it's all across my chest. I got one on my arm as well. They took their time, and that shit hurt. It hurt, and that was just little pieces of my flesh.
Gods, I can't imagine.
Yeah, so like, just imagine burning in hell for eternity, right? Like God chose the worst possible fucking punishment for jacking off that He could have chosen. It's drowning would be better. Just like an eternity of drowning, you drown, and you wake up the next day and you drown again. That would be terrible, right? That would be fucking heaven compared to burning for eternity.
Even in Judaism, you don't get, there is no forever burning. It's there's a period of, like, Jews can only get so much time, and I think it's up to like a year if I understand it correctly, which is still shit. But like you would have to be literally Hitler to get
the contradiction of it, though. Like God loved us so much that His most perfect angel, Lucifer, rebelled against Him for that love, and He's willing to throw us in a lake of fire if we masturbate or if we eat too much.
Well, it's an eternal. Well, and again, I'm going to give credit to Ocean for pointing this out so bloody thoroughly in his "God Can Go to Hell" video. But I'd actually like to hear a response.
We brought a Christian in. I just got to point this out.
We
brought a Christian in, and we stopped talking about Christmas, and we just started bashing Christianity.
Well, no, I actually the thing is he brought that up himself. He was talking about what he thinks of Christianity. And hopefully I'm concerned you don't feel ganged up on, because that's not at all what we're trying to do. Like, I'm just trying to express my feelings as far as these things are concerned,
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I'm very open-minded to people's opinions. I respect that everybody has opinions, and it's not my role to judge you for your opinion.
Well, and what I was going to say was, this idea of burning, for a short period of time, like what Will talked about, that seems a lot more fitting for fucking up. Like, you're talking with the Christian concept of hell, you're talking about an eternal punishment for a finite crime. And that just seems,
Yeah.
for a God that's supposed to,
And
have given us our sense of justice, supposedly, like, I'm going to grant for 30 seconds that Yahweh somehow was the one who gave us our laws and our sense of justice. This is what a lot of Christians claim. Let's grant that for a minute. How would the sense of justice that they gave us, to me, an infinite punishment for a finite crime seems like a grave injustice?
yeah, and that
Especially
was like
since
my
a lot of
ultimate
those crimes
point.
are just like natural human
I
urges,
agree.
That was like my ultimate point. Like even under Will's definition, just one burning to death. And I think this is why like I do the witch trial videos, and I try to do it on a personal level. I try to deal with individuals, and I'm gonna be doing it with my next witch trial video is gonna be fucking good. But just one burning, just one. It's horrible. Like we cannot fucking imagine it. We can't. I cannot imagine it having been burned, right? Like
Well,
that's
the
just
thing that
one burning.
in
Then,
some conversations of Judaism too, there is sort of a concept of reincarnation. Uh, one of the hypotheses go based on Torah scripture is that you get reincarnated based on how big of an asshole you were, and it's kind of racist, but it goes like you could be reincarnated as a rock, which I'm not sure how that fucking goes, but that's the lowest. And then there's goyim, which are just non-Jews, and then there's animals, and then
That word, Will, goyim doesn't mean just non-Jews. Isn't that the word that J Dubs used?
no, I'm not even gonna say the word that.
All right,
Jay
so
does.
I'm wrong then. All right, cool. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But and then there's dogs above other animals for some reason. I don't know why dogs specifically. Then there's
Well,
Jews,
they are animals, so that is weird.
and then there's Jews, and then there's like priests and nobility, and then you basically assimilate into the collective consciousness of God, and everything all comes back to God. So there's different interpretations based on scripture. So that's just one other conceptualization of what punishment and
So,
the afterlife
Yeah.
is.
so what you're telling?
Okay,
Let's
so
let the
not,
let's let the Christian speak.
I'm concerned speak. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm stepping in as moderator for
Yeah,
a minute.
we
'cause,
kept
like,
we kept
don't
over
talk to
talking him. So go ahead. I'm concerned.
So what you're telling me is, well, as far as the God's collective consciousness goes, how does I don't see how that would work if God is supposedly above all. If He is one being, how would you be brought into His collective consciousness? That kind of
No,
seems redundant to me.
everything in existence is technically part of the collective consciousness. It's this God is the thing outside that the creation goes back to. So it's like basically
So is this the Kabbalistic theory effectively that, God created the universe in order to experience everything that there is to experience? And so once you purified yourself enough, you go back to God because you are a piece of God that is living this particular life.
That's absolutely it.
What's up, Ocean Keltoy?
So what this sounds similar to is I'm gonna go to Greek mythology as far as Zeus and Athena goes. Athena was sprung from Zeus's mind.
No, that's not exactly what happened.
Well, yeah.
So that particular myth, what happened was Zeus had a wife, Zeus had a wife before Hera, and there was a prophecy that if she were to have a child, like a son, he would surpass Zeus, his father. And so what ended up happening there was he devoured the mother while she was pregnant, his wife, and through mysterious god processes, that pregnancy transferred to Zeus, and Athena sprung fully formed adult, covered in her armor from his head.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
You know what? I was thinking
I'm a Hellenic polytheist for what it's worth, so these are the gods I worship.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought you were talking about Venus coming from his ball sack in the sea foam. I was like, wait a minute. I thought that I'm trying to remember from like middle school mythology class what the hell that was. It was like I was racking my brain. I was like, where the hell's this going?
Well,
Yeah,
and I do have
yeah.
to warn you. I'm concerned that that Will Kincaid is not a true Jew yet. He's not.
What do you mean? I got the yarmulke and the tzitzit and everything. What are you
I mean, you're
talking-
getting closer, my man, but you're still half like Brett Keane.
I'll cop to this. I'm sort of half. I did a long rant video about how pissed off I am at religion in general. I've been too lazy to like record stuff, so I'm usually in front of my fucking PlayStation. So I was like, fuck it, I'll stream.
Well,
And,
let me ask you this: like, do you have your own like rabbi? Or, like is J Dubs like still guiding you in your religion? Because like that's where
No, I mean like he reads. I still watch his videos because he basically reads verbatim from Chabad.org, and I don't enjoy reading long-winded extrapolations of Torah. So I've been to Shul a couple of times, but they really don't fucking like me. So,
Good, I'm back.
So do you do like do you go to like a Jewish service? Like do you practice your Jewish religion?
I've attempted. I go to a Universalist Unitarian because it's the only place that'll let me.
I'm just
in.
asking. I'm giving you a hard time, but like I think you're getting closer.
There's not too many synagogues around here. There's no way to keep 100% kosher. There's not even. I think the closest kosher deli is like 100 miles from me. So I think the closest kosher deli is either way west in Syracuse or it's way south, like to like New York City. So there's
I'm just
no way
like I would really like a real Jewish person to come on and like educate me about the religion, and that can't be J Dubs.
No, I mean I can't really keep kosher law that well. I tried to find a menorah around here. I was gonna get one off of Amazon. And I was told that you can't do that. So it's like
I would like to bring things back a little bit to the discussion that I'm concerned brought up. Just because we brought him in here and he's been patiently waiting while we've spent so much time on Will.
Will will get me triggered, even with the littlest things. Sorry.
May I say something?
Go on.
I'm concerned. I want to compliment you and, of course, Richard for one major thing. Truth be known, even as much as Christianity has been a weapon and a way to harm me, there have been few who have truly shown me what kindness is. That they walk the walk and talk the talk. Based on your words alone, you appear to be the same. Based on Richard's words and actions alone, he proposes to me to be the same as well. There was a lady who saved my life a year and a half ago. I was homeless. I was on my scooter. I couldn't walk. I had this Lovecraftian entity eating my foot. It was a fungal infection, but it looked like that. And if it wasn't for this kind Christian woman at the library, I would not have made it through that year. She took me to the hospital when they tried to reject me, and she made sure they took me in. So not every Christian is cruel. And in fact, it's not Christianity with which I have the problem. It is the arrogance of the small few that sickens me.
Well, yeah, and that's what I tried to say earlier. It really is a humanity thing, and it's not a religion thing. My dad is a Southern Baptist, and I've been very vocal about my car issues.
I'm from the South, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he's his friends are like, I am who I am. I'm a raging atheist. I don't hide it anymore. Like I used to hide my atheism. I don't anymore, especially since I came out on YouTube. They've all seen it. They've all unfollowed me on Facebook because I put my videos there. They all know who I am, and they're like, they're asking my dad, like, why do you still help him? And my dad's like, well, he's my son. I love him, but it's part of his Christianity as well. You don't just deny people you don't judge them, like that's just something that he inherently believes. And even when I go hard at him, and I am who I am. He still came up here and he bought me a new car, because I needed it and because he could. And yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's not a religion thing. It's a humanity thing. Now, can the religion be used for the ills of humanity? Sure. Sure, and that's what the discussion is all about, and that's why we break down the Bible, and that's why we break down the fundamentalist extremists as much as I do. But I do think it's important to recognize that not all Christians are like that. In fact, hopefully most aren't. But it is a war, and we spoke about it earlier. It does seem to be on a upswing for the fundamentalist extremist evangelicism in this country. But as well, there's an upswing in the leftist radicalism in this country as well. So I mean, there's always a counterbalance.
Is it all right if I give a small piece of life story? It is relevant to the conversation.
Oh, sure,
Go
for
ahead.
it.
This has been basically a let's talk about whatever for most of the stream.
Gotcha. Okay, so
Which reminds me,
I'm-
Knock, you should probably go change the name of the stream at this point.
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
after the stream. You know, we talked about Christmas for what, 10 minutes.
There's not much to talk about when it comes to Christmas. It's basically like, okay, some summation.
I could talk about it for a while actually, but I won't.
Secular holiday. A lot of people celebrate it, even non-Christians, and it's pretty all right. It's like some consumer culture or whatever. But other than that, most people shop on
It's a capitalist holiday designed to keep poor people poor. But we'll let I'm concerned tell his personal story.
So I do want to just go ahead and point out I am bisexual, even though I do claim to be agnostic in a God. Whereas in many religions, homosexuality is material for exile, for lack of better words. So I live in Mississippi, the Bible Belt. I have been in, I've been away, been in DHS custody my whole life. I currently live in a Christian group home, as you can tell by the bare walls in my room. But anyway, so I recently got removed from my foster parents' house because I aged out, and I had to basically lie to my father. I still call him my dad, even though he's my foster parent. I call it he's my father. He's been a very good person to me, aside from a couple of things, which is actually one of those things that I'm going to talk about. He thinks that he converted me from being bisexual. I lied to him and I let him believe that. Simply because of the fact that he said he would, quote unquote, not have that in his home. So I wasn't going to take the chance to being kicked out, which would have, it could have either led me homeless, or it could have also led me to a horrible group home. Which I will point out that it is the belief that, the foster care system is horrible, whereas it's really not. There are.
Well, I would like to do a quick interjection. Ocean interjected on this, and I wanted to. The vast majority of religions that are not sort of the Abrahamics don't give a shit whether you were gay, bisexual, etc., even if you have multiple partners. Like, most religions don't give a shit about that. Like, sexual repression is kind of an Abrahamic thing, primarily.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of it in Hinduism as well, but like...
Native Americans generally just accepted everybody for who they were.
Well,
I know
and
a lot.
Apollon was explicitly gay. Sort of like he ruled over a particular time in a young man's life where he would often be taken in by an older man and, be sexual partner while he's learning. So, like, these sorts of things are kind of unique to the Abrahamics. It might seem like a lot of religions are like that in the modern day, but like through history and for a lot of
especially
alternative faiths, not so much.
especially in this country when we are dominantly surrounded by Abrahamics. Especially areas of the country, it becomes a severe problem. My hometown in Davie County, I still, like, I haven't been down there in a while, but I would be very surprised if there were very many out open gay people in that county.
I do understand where you're coming from. I'm concerned. Just sorry to interject, Will. You want to go first? And then
No, go for it.
I too had a massive issue with actually revealing who I was. It took 20 years and 15 years of a marriage in which I didn't love the person to try and prove that I was straight, but I wasn't. So, I tried to come out at 19, and my mother was dying and was insane at the time. And she stabbed me, but I used her my dad's whiskey and my mom's medical supplies because she was healing from surgery to cover it up so that I wouldn't get taken from the house. Because my dad was so drunk he couldn't take care of her, and I was taking care of her. So I completely understand the fear that you have. Once I did come out, I was rejected and thrown away by everybody. And my father was the only one that made the effort to reach out to me. So, after he had learned a lesson himself, so, it is terrifying because you think you come out to the people you love, you hope and you pray that they will love you regardless, but no, they want to destroy you. But then there's others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's others.
We covered that in my the videos we talked about earlier, Pluto, the Beckett Cook videos where my last one I just put out not too long ago. I call it the parenting issue, the Christian parenting issue, to where literally some Christian parents are really cool, but like this dude is literally saying like, go and cry, go and pray and cry and mourn, and I'm like you're mourning like they're fucking dead. Like,
Yeah.
do you even hear your fucking self?
It's insane.
Right now?
I agree.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you go ahead.
In my experience, I know a couple of gay. Like, there's one that we met at the on my podcast when we did the brew house. He just kind of showed up because J Dubs was in full regalia, and he's like, "Oh, look, another Jew," and that was a novelty for like 10 seconds.
That would be the one time like I defended J Dubs. So.
So this guy that came in was an openly gay Jew, and we had like a brief discussion after he took us to that. That it was like some kind of like metal cover band. It was just like whatever, and I guess the way he explained it to me is that in Judaism, being gay really isn't an issue as long as you can't get married in a synagogue if you're gay to somebody of the same sex. But what a lot of them do is they have what they'll do is they'll marry a Jewish woman. They'll have a child or a couple of children with them. I don't know how that works. And then what they'll do is they'll just have gay lovers on the side and it's like 100% kosher, I guess, which is weird. It blows my fucking mind, but I guess it's a dumb thing. I know that there's a lot of Hasidics that come down from Quebec who have wives, and I guess it's permissible in some sects of Judaism to bang hookers as long as they're not Jewish. So that's weird too.
We're distracting a little bit too far from the topic. I just wanted to correct that one particular statement, but I wanted to let I'm Concerned finish his story.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we cut him off? Oh.
It's the nature.
Yeah, people
of
went
these
off on a
open
tangent a bit. So I wanted to let him finish his story because he was kind of halfway into it.
Right.
And I am back.
Hey, I cut everybody off from their tangent. Apologies for that.
Oh, look, it's all good. But yeah, like I was saying, I grew up. I've grown up in Mississippi. I live in a Christian group home. I had Christian foster parents. And I agree. Christianity is typically used as a weapon nowadays. It's a very oppressive thing. It's a pushy thing as well. Like, people just don't know how to quit sometimes. I'm all for, like, you want to talk to me about your religion. You want to try and say, this is what I believe. I think it could be, it may be what is true. It's certainly true to this person. But what's wrong is when you're like, well, I don't agree with that, but then they keep on keeping on. So at that point, it becomes a very oppressive thing, which was certainly the case with my foster parents. They were always so pushy. They wanted me to go to Wednesday youth group, and they wanted me to go to church every Sunday, even when I worked a 12-hour shift the night before, or the day before, I should say, when I was absolutely exhausted, getting in at like sometimes 12 o'clock in the morning, and I just wanted to sleep. And it's like, there are different ways to worship. You don't have to go to church every Sunday. That doesn't if you go if you go into this, it doesn't necessarily quote unquote make you a good Christian just because you go to church every Sunday.
That's very true. There's many Christians that go to church every Sunday that are very awful people. And I tend to agree wholeheartedly. I think that's the indoctrination part of the religion that I fight against so often. It's they feel they have to ingrain it into you, and it works a lot of the times, and then a lot of the times it will actually end up turning you off, like it has with you.
Absolutely.
But it is their method, and it's the fundamental problem that I have with it. I don't do that with my daughter. I don't force my beliefs onto her. I try to teach her how to be a good human being, try to teach her how to think rationally, and she can make decisions for herself. Of course, she hears what I say sometimes, and she understands what I am. But I don't try to push it onto her to where it seems like their objective is, all right, especially like maybe if you're not conforming enough, then they'll start to just more and more, like, I saw it down south all the fucking time. And it's really the dangerous part, because they understand that the younger the mind, the more impressionable.
Absolutely.
And it does seem to be a weapon.
And one thing that would honestly piss me off the most was the fact that you see, my parents, they would be like, if you don't go to church, you can't go do such and such or whatever, or you can't. We're gonna take your Xbox if you don't go to church today, or blah blah blah. And another rule that they had was that I wasn't allowed to be on my phone or any kind of screen device on Sundays because it's for the Lord. And it was just like one of the most annoying things.
Isn't that an
And that's
extrapolation of like Torah though? That's like the Sabbath. Plus, you got your days
Yeah.
wrong. So it don't make much sense. It's and the whole thing about proselytization and like the church. It's Matthew 6:5 says that you're supposed to pray indoors. You're not supposed to proselytize.
exactly.
Has anybody even read the Bible? I mean, what is
The problem is Paul like was the one who is like, go out and save souls and things like
It's
that.
always
He
fucking
overturned
Paul.
a lot of what Jesus said.
It's always Paul. Oh God.
vision is biblical.
If you read because Paul, like, if you read it also, Jesus said he was explicitly there for the Jews during the Good Samaritan story, but Paul supposedly hallucinated him out in the desert, shook his hand, and found out that apparently no, he was mistaken. He was there for everyone.
I have a question for any Christians that want to answer it. Has Jesus actually completed the prophecy? Because he hasn't returned yet, so has he abolished the law? I mean, technically,
no.
He never completed the prophecy because he wasn't the fucking line of David. If you believe in the Immaculate Conception, I've hashed this out with so many Christians.
That's the weird thing about Judaism is, like I was saying earlier, that men are technically property of women. That's why when you follow lineage in the Bible, you're following the matriarchal lineage and not the patriarchal lineage. It's antithetical to like Western thought, so it's hard for people to wrap their head around. But it's hard to do that because it's not explicit. There's big gaps, and then there's a lot in the genealogy of Christ, and then like, were his brothers his half brothers, or were they his biological brothers and they just squealed them in there, like Jude and I think John, James.
James was the brother of Jesus that led the early Christian church. And James had a feud with Paul, and Paul won that feud. That's been my research.
In other places it says he's his cousin now, like basically, like it's Joseph's brother's kid. So he's got four brothers. In that respect, he's got four brothers and one sister. But
the lineage quite clearly states that Joseph was the line of David. So if the Immaculate Conception is true, and Joseph's DNA was not part of that, considering especially that Israel had no adoption in that time period, I mean, he couldn't fulfill the prophecy because he wasn't of the line of David, because that would have required Joseph's DNA.
Which, of course, who's going to be able to get that today?
I mean, the Jews have a pretty strict criteria for what is and is not as Mashiach. So, and nowhere in there does it say must be a virgin birth, must be born in. So, what I can extrapolate from that is that it just happened to be a prophecy that was going around at the time. Like, there's some weird conspiracy that like the Romans made all this shit up to appease the Jews at the time, so they'd stop revolting. Which, by the way, is what Hanukkah
I have my
is actually
suspicions. There's no proof to this. What I suspect is that we know that the topic of Jesus's divinity was a hot topic for a long time. We're talking a long time, and eventually it was decided that Jesus was a god. So they had to throw in a fucking story that made him a god, the son of God. I mean, that's pretty much what that's just my gut feeling on it. No, I'm probably going to get in trouble for that. So
Speaking of Christmas and Hanukkah, the story of Hanukkah really has.
Well, you guys kind of cut I'm concerned off again.
Yeah, we did it again, Will. God damn it.
Son of a bitch. All right, go ahead.
Does anybody remember where I was?
You were talking about all of the rules that were surrounding the parenting in your foster family.
Right.
And
this is like an old
Will
school,
went
old
up on a
open
tangent about the Sabbath, and you were talking about not being able to have screens, and that was the last thing you said.
Right. That was just the most annoying thing. I had never met anybody who did that to their kids before. I've got many Christian parents. They all play video games on Sunday. They talk on the phone. They do anything that involves a screen and God knows what else. And it's just, I feel like a lot of people take it to the extreme more than is even to begin to be necessary.
Just to cut in real quick, Rory, I don't think you were intentionally being disrespectful. I will answer your question. No, not necessarily. Without foster parents, that doesn't mean that. I've been homeless. People survive. People are very adaptable. I think we're talking about a specific situation. There could have been foster parents that were much more compassionate and caring human beings. So I'll address that, but I didn't mean to cut anybody off.
Oh, that's all good.
The phrasing of that question, Rory, came off as quite abrasive, and that's the reason you were timed out. My apologies if you were frustrated by that.
Oh, I'm not seeing the live chat right now. What was the question?
The question was, if it weren't for your foster parents, wouldn't you have been out on the street?
Actually, no. I am a part of the MDCPS custody, which is Mississippi Department of Child Protective Services.
The specific way it was phrased, by the way, was, and where would you have been if you didn't have foster parents dead in a ditch? That's the reason I timed him out.
That's fair. But no, actually, I wouldn't have been. I would have my foster parents taking me in. I knew them all my life. I grew up with their son. Them taking me in was actually more of a courtesy. I would have ended up in just another group home or something.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, again, the phrasing, regardless of when you were saying, is that a serious question? Like, the way you phrased it was abrasive.
Yeah, the foster care system, like kids that end up in the foster care system end up one of two ways. They either end up like I'm concerned, or they end up like Brett Keane. So those are basically the two options.
Well, I have friends who went through the foster care system themselves, and some end up okay, and some don't.
Not
and generally,
so okay.
Generally, it depends on whether you end up with a foster family or whether you stay in group homes, because group homes are basically, from what I've heard from him, crime factories, effectively.
Yeah,
He said that you have to pick up criminal skills just to survive in them because everybody else has them.
Right.
I agree with that to a certain degree. I've been through about 10 group homes, some of which I aged out, some of which I got kicked out of, some of which I were just taken out of and placed somewhere else for whatever the reason. A lot of what happens is above my head, and I don't get told a lot of things, which is a big problem. I feel like I should be more informed about some of the things that I'm not informed of. Such as,
Well, I mean,
you
people
know,
under the age of 18 are effectively property as far as the state's concerned. Like you're
yeah,
you know, you're basically a glorified pet when you're a kid as far as the law is concerned. There's a few things that protect children more than pets, but for the most part, almost all of the animal abuse laws sort of apply, and that's about the extent of protection that foster children in particular get.
oh,
Yeah, I
certainly.
actually plan on delving deep into the foster child system in this country.
Well, that's
I've
not
been,
meaning any disrespect. I'm just talking
yeah.
about the abysmal way in which foster children are treated from what I've heard from my friends who have gone through the system.
Oh no,
My
I certainly
stepmother
agree.
was a foster child way back in the day, and I've often wanted to delve into that. In making the time to do the necessary research is always a problem with me, but that is something that I really, really want to do in 2020.
Anyhow, I'm concerned you were talking about your experiences in the foster care system.
But I mean, yeah, I've seen people come and go. I've seen friends come and go. I mean, as far as the crime thing goes, I've certainly seen people get arrested. I've seen them abused by police brutality over, you know, just trivial things that just kind of blew up.
Well, the
But
friend that I referenced talked about like things like pickpocketing and lockpicking and things like that were very common skills. Like people would break into each other's rooms and steal things when people were supposed to be at school. They would skip school and do that sort of thing. A lot of kids, he said, sold drugs on the side because it was hard to get employment. He grew up in a kind of shitty area. But I've heard that a lot of foster homes are sort of put in those places too, like group homes in particular.
oh yeah, I mean, I live out in the boondock countryside right now in a group home. But as far as the pickpocketing and the stealing thing goes, I can definitely testify to that. I've had laptops stolen that I, you know, worked hard for with, you know, in a job and in the workforce. I've had consoles stolen. You know, I've had my phone stolen. Had to buy another phone. All kinds of things. Money stolen out of my room. You know, I eventually had to get like a small safe to lock things in.
Yeah, that happened to me in the penal system. Of course, I remember a story when I was in prison. My dad finally came to see me, and he brought me new shoes. And I never had anything stolen out of my locker before. I'm a big dude, and I was I was a fucking gangbanger, so people didn't usually fuck with me. But those shoes must have been nice, because I put them in my locker. 3 hours later, those brand new shoes were fucking gone, and it was like the first time like just anybody just blatantly stole something from me, and I just remember the feeling of it. It was just, it made me feel terrible. You know, it's you know, my
Yeah.
dad bought me those, but it could be you worked for it, whatever. It's yours, and somebody fucking took it. You know,
Yeah, that's the
it's
point.
gut
It's
wrenching.
it's not whatever it was. It's the principle that you just stole from me, asshole.
Yeah,
Out
yeah.
here in White Harlem, that's called home ec class. Everybody knows how to pick an 8-pin tumbler around here. I live in basically the White Hood, so it's like
I mean, I stole as a child all the fucking time. I mean, it's why I went to prison. We were stealing guns. So.
Yeah.
yeah. If you didn't sell some kind of drugs, you weren't eating lunch that day. So at least in like high school anyway.
Or if you didn't, you know, if you didn't have some kind of hustle, at least.
Well,
Your parents
you know,
didn't
the
have
funny thing
fucking-
about that story, and I always had to point this out when I mention this shit, was I was a Christian back then. I haven't been to prison as an atheist.
Well, and I will say again, you know, those are just secondhand experiences, stories I've been told. It sounds like you were living a similar experience in some ways.
Oh yeah, certainly in some ways. I would say I've had a better experience than some. Um, I haven't. A lot of people I've talked to, they've experienced abuse in group homes. I've never
Yeah,
really
I've talked to
experienced
some.
abuse.
Yeah, I've heard some abuse. I've also heard some very good stories. I think it really depends on, you know, kind of like a look of the
I
draw.
think it just. I mean, I think it depends on your RNG, your luck.
Yeah, you kind of like look at the draw. Yeah.
May Aaron
Yeah.
Jesus bless you.
Exactly. But I mean, I've never really had the abuse thing. I'm, right now I'm 6'4", I'm 240 pounds. Nobody's really ever messed with me. It's definitely since 6th grade and middle school when I shot up to 6 foot. I've always been a big kid. So nobody really, they were scared of me because you've got like 11 and 12-year-olds that are like 5'3" and 5'4" looking up at this 6 foot tall kid, and they're like, oh, he'd probably beat my ass. I don't want to fuck with him. And I've always been the quiet kid, to be honest. I've never been a violent person. I've never really been an angry person. I've always been willing to defend myself, but I've never been the type of person to start shit.
Well, being a bigger person helps. I can attest to that. Like, the only thing that got me through my shit was I was just this massive dude, and people just thought twice about fucking with me.
I'm the polar opposite of both of you, by the way. I'm 5 foot half an inch. Like, Nock, you're going to tower over me. You will be able to use my head as a chin rest.
I know, like, when we meet, if you can actually make it up here, we're gonna have to film it.
I'm gonna be like looking up at you.
Just so
you're
people
going to
can
be
see,
like so much taller than me.
You know, like, because they've heard it a lot. I want them to see how tall I am because I've heard it my whole life. Like, God damn, you're big.
And
I'm
how
like,
bloody
I'm just
short
me.
I am, because like nobody actually believes that I'm 5 foot half an inch, but I actually am that fucking short.
I'm like a giant compared to you. Like, I would be David to or I would be the Goliath to your David. So.
Oh my god.
I'm apparently going to spontaneously sprout a penis on my way there. Like, you guys heard it here. By the way, for anybody who's not informed, Nock and I may or may not meet up. I'm going to be going on a riding retreat to go visit a buddy of mine in Ann Arbor, and he might drive over to come meet me during that time.
If you're there, I'll definitely drive over.
So, like, we might actually get to meet up, because I'm going to be in that area.
Oh, very nice.
Tony Design says Naka is a Nephilim.
So, wait, Nephilim free? Anyway, this is not a Nephilim free zone.
I'm an angel half-breed because I'm so big and massive.
So what the bloody hell does that make me?
Oh, you're one of the little people. You're like a dwarf.
So
I was gonna say you're a dwarf hybrid.
So I'm Tuatha De Danann.
You're one of the fairy folk, Alakai.
So apparently the Fae ended up breeding with my parents. I mean, I suppose that would explain the fuckery in my genes that ended up with me being a half native, half British that somehow ended up celiac. Like, nobody understands how that happened.
I'm still trying to understand what it is. I mean, fuck, it would suck. I know that.
Okay, so celiac is so you know what an autoimmune disorder is?
Yeah, I actually have an autoimmune disorder.
Okay, so think of that. Every time I eat gluten, my body attacks my small intestine.
Oh.
That's what it is. It's an autoimmune disorder in which, like, your body will attack your cilia, in your small intestine, the little nubbies that like absorb your nutrients when they absorb gluten. That's what it is. My body attacks itself when I eat wheat or barley.
I never knew what it was called when people were like, "Oh, I'm allergic to gluten." But
well, it's not an allergy, and a lot of people who say they're gluten intolerant, well, I'm going to actively mock them because it's a very, very, very rare actual allergy. And it's even rarer to be celiac. There's special blood tests and things you have to go through. The people who say, oh, well, I'm gluten intolerant, but I can have this one brownie. Like, bitch, if I had that brownie, I'd be double over and throwing up within 20 minutes.
Oh,
yeah, I've got
like, that's how violent the reaction is.
I've got an autoimmune disease too, and it definitely affects my digestion. I lack the enzyme necessary to process cellulose. So any leafy greens like roughage, it's like it's a nightmare. Without getting into too much detail, but and basically what they offered me was like they offered me they offered me a poop transplant. They want to take somebody else's poop and put it into my lower intestine.
Okay, well, first off, your body doesn't actually manufacture an enzyme to digest cellulose. Like, it's actually the gut bacteria inside of your body that does it, which is why they offered you a fecal transplant. Because if you get healthy gut bacteria implanted through that fecal transplant, that can fix that problem.
Okay, then I miss.
I will offer my shit, Will Kincaid.
Well, geez, and I thought it was
Listen.
bad that I got abdominal migraines.
Listen, I don't want to take my own shit, let alone somebody else's shit. And why is it called taking a shit? You don't take a shit, you leave a shit. If you're taking shit, you got problems.
These are the questions that need to be asked.
That's a very
know.
deep philosophical question that I'm not prepared to answer.
I know,
Okay,
these
it's called that because English is a whore language that loves to steal grammar and syntax from other languages and leave them dead and broken in alleyways. It's
There
a
you go,
language
Will.
best left to trade in war, which
Now
are
you
the
see
things
why I
that it
made
has the most
Ali my
extensive
co-host.
vocabulary on it.
God.
These are the things that kept me out of the really good schools growing up.
My autoimmune, whatever is in my thyroid gland. I have a really hard time winding down.
Well, I
Oh,
got
you-
really fucking lucky. I
Oh,
got
you've got
lupus.
Hashimoto's also. Just like is your body attacking your thyroid?
Yeah, I think
Oh, you've
so.
got
It was a long
Hashimoto's
time
also.
ago. I don't go to the
Hashtag-
doctor, so I don't know like where it's at. But yeah, it's in my thyroid gland. I got diagnosed when I was like 17.
Okay, so the chat seems to be confused as to what gluten is. Gluten is a particular protein chain that is found in wheat that both makes dough elastic and it acts as a binder within it. If you've ever had seitan, which is the like it's a wheat meat that a lot of vegetarians enjoy, that is just gluten. So you don't develop gluten so much as you sort of activate it when you're kneading dough. Like
Right,
gluten is
so-
always present, it's always there. It's just it starts to react to, being kneaded. It forms these sort of ropey trains of protein that actually resemble muscle fiber quite a bit, which is why seitan is so popular.
For the layman, it's that shit in food that makes it taste good.
Pretty
And
much.
actually, it doesn't affect wheat's taste so much as it affects its texture. It's actually what holds bread together and makes it fluffy and crumbly. And
I am 100%.
Sorry, I just had to laugh. Ocean asked, "Have you had Satan?"
I have had
I
seitan
heard
and
that
it is delicious.
too.
Hail
You say-
Satan! And there's an actual vegan cookbook called the Satanic Spellbook, and it is brilliant.
Say God and I say Satan. No, Manson fans, fuck all of you. You degenerates.
Hey, I actually saw Manson when I was like really young. They were opening for Nine Inch Nails before Marilyn Manson was like actually Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, he played Ozfest up here where I live. I got to see it once, and he got fat. So
It was
Yo,
actually
have
a
you ever
fairly
heard of a
decent
band
show.
called Ice Nine Kills?
Neil
not-
is back and shocked that we're still going.
Yeah, no, this has been a longer. We haven't went this long in a while. It's been
Again,
it's been a good conversation.
it's because
It's
I'm
been
here.
going about 2 hours, Ocean.
I'm the flavor in this dumpster fire.
Yeah, like we
That's what it-
talked about Christmas for about 15 minutes. So
Yeah, that was
And
about
then
it.
and then Will showed up.
yeah, Will. Oh, Will, you're so like I just love you so much, Will. Like
The
you
enigma.
you
I
try
can't believe
so
that.
hard not to be the baby manatee when you're trying to be good. It is adorable.
Did you see that? Did you see that in chat? What I said? I think that Angelica saw it, but I don't know if you did.
Probably not. I
apparently-
hardly ever see chat.
All right, so when I went on your show a long time ago, a bunch of my family members subscribed to your fucking channel, right?
Have they
watched that stream
unsubscribed
that
yet?
Yeah, no, not yet. But they saw that video where you called me the Enigma, and now they keep calling me the fucking Enigma on like fucking Facebook and shit. I'm like, God,
Yeah, you
fucking
are.
damn.
You're a fucking enigma within an enigma within an enigma. Blah 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 blah. Like I got that from like.
An enigma wrapped in a mystery.
Well, I think I got it from Dune. They kept saying like plots within plots within plots. You know, wheels within wheels, circles within circles. I'm a book dork, so.
My brother.
Which
said
reminds me, Naka, I sent you mine. Have you started it yet?
I haven't. I've been back.
You promised.
These
you
fucking
butthole.
these fucking raging your reviews have taken up so much time. Like I've been through so much footage.
Excuses.
I'm gonna fucking take a break, and it's gonna be like 2 weeks into the new year before I even start releasing new videos because I never took a break. I told you I wanted to take a break. I never took a break.
Or just space your bloody releases out a bit more so you can, build yourself a bit more time.
I'm trying to do it before the new year. Before that New Year's Eve live stream. So, like, I didn't think it would take this fucking long. So much shit happened this year.
You better have at least read the first chapter or something before I come out there and see you, or I'm going to be angry with you.
Oh, by then I'll read the whole... Like, when I actually sit down to read it, it'll take me, like, a day. It won't take me long.
And where can I find your books, Allie? What fine retailer? What can I get? What's the link? Go ahead.
Fine retailer.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. Well, that's what they say. Christopher Hitchens, wherever I find books is.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm picking.
Oh, okay, good, wonderful. Now, show your link. This be a good opportunity to sell your book.
Like,
so you can actually get it on Amazon. It's pretty easy to find. Like, if you look up the name that I go for under chat, you can find it. The reason I sent it to Nock is because Nock is insisting that I shill because I'm going to be doing a promotional thing when I release the second book in the series for the one that I'm working on at the moment.
Yeah, she's got to shill better.
I've been refusing to cross those two sides of my career for quite some time because I didn't want to, even like look a tiny bit like I'm taking advantage of anyone. I've had a couple of people offer to help promote the book, and I was like, no, I'm not sure. And then people got insistent, so I'm saying yes.
I don't know, I don't know how many books will sell from this channel, but if I sell one book for you, Ali, I'll be fucking proud of that shit. So.
All right. Apparently, Ocean's heading out. Have a good one, Ocean. Thank you for coming by.
Yeah, thanks, Ocean. Yeah, we'll probably be shutting down fairly soon. It's been kind of a long stream.
There's been no fire in the dumpster. No.
Yeah, it didn't.
It's been fun though.
It wasn't quite a dumpster fire. We could have had a dumpster fire, but I've been nice, Will.
I know.
Well, not only that, but the Christian who came in was not a jackass, which is nice.
Yeah, and we had a really good discussion. I like where it went. I am gonna have to. We'll consider a new title, and I'll change the title after this stream. We can do, except for Will. If anybody wants to come into Discord, VC, I'll probably be up for about an hour and a half.
Oh, come on, just give me one roll, damn it. We have a role in my server called Horse, and it's just you can go in voice chat, but that's it.
I will advocate for you, but ultimately it is a democracy thing, and Ali is extremely correct. We like our moderators. Our moderators are on a good page. We understand the rules, and to the point to where earlier today when I was having that stream and shit was going down right at the beginning of the stream, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? My moderators told me straight up, like, Naka, it's basically trust us, and I did, and it turned out the dude was a complete racist douchebag that should have been timed out. So yeah,
right.
I really, I will advocate for you, but ultimately it will. And right now the democracy says no, but I'll advocate, and we'll see. Because I think I understand you slightly. You pissed me the fuck off, but you always do.
That was. All right, let me explain. Okay, now that we're at the end of the stream, let me light.
By the way, Will, if you really want it, I gave in and I posted a link to my book in the live chat.
Okay, I don't have live chat open, but I can go back. So now that we're at the end, I'm gonna light a match on this dumpster just real quick. I don't know if it might burn out, but you know why I did that, right? With your Discord server,
because you want to be Brett Keane.
No, it's because, do you remember, I can't remember when we were doing game night with AR and all them, and Allie opened up her Twitch. I think it was Allie. Who was it?
Yeah, it was Allie's Twitch that we did that.
When you were talking mad shit, calling me the baby manatee and all this unprovoked.
I always talk mad shit.
I know.
Which reminds me, if we get Which reminds me, if we get a proper vote from the Discord, if you guys really, really want to, I might open up Jackboxes again tonight because I haven't done it in a while.
That's what I'm saying though, is you went on a long tirade talking mad shit, and I was like, you just fucking wait, buddy. I didn't do what I could have done because I explained this in my explanation video that if I really wanted to conduct a raid, I could have just opened it up to 4chan and just let chaos ensue. So instead, what I did was I just invited a bunch of my friends. I explained what like the server conditions were. I was like, seriously, just don't break the fucking rules. And then, but Puff was in there, and I didn't know that he was playing until later when fucking Tartan was like, oh, by the way, he acts completely differently when the mods aren't around. So I was like, okay, whatever. And I was just gonna load it up with people who are just gonna like plead my case whenever you guys like, I don't know, dogpile on me, because I think I take it fairly well when you just hurling it. I don't get belligerent. I don't get argumentative. It's like you guys had me up till 3 o'clock in the fucking morning with that shit. We went from like 10 to like 3 a.m. or some shit.
Well, so
I gotta fucking get him back for this. You just fucking wait.
There's very good reason for that, Will. It's because history. It's because and the people you brought in intentionally started a shitstorm with me that night when I was trying to have an after show for a stream. They started a shit show that lasted quite a few days. And ended up with me rage banning a dude that probably didn't quite deserve it.
Was it Failgrun or was it Terry? Well, no, Terry left. Failgrun
I
was all
ended
about
up
it. When
banning Failgrun that probably didn't deserve it, but I was just so fucking frustrated at the whole situation that I was just like, fuck this dude.
Failgrun was the only one who was under the impression that this was a legit raid. And then I explained to him that this is not a raid, and I explained to him what I was trying to do, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I can play this game." So it's
well, Failgrin, funnily enough, actually was the most like civil out of everybody that you brought with you. Like he lasted the longest before he pissed Nuck off.
Yeah, and he pissed me off pretty bad.
I've known him since he was a kid. I've known him for a while. And he's like severely autistic, so I knew immediately that he wasn't going to last very long because he just says the most racist, offensive, off the wall shit just out of nowhere. Because that's just it's part of his personality. I don't take it personally because I know that he just sometimes he'll just say weird fucking shit, and I have no idea what he's talking about. And then he's like a bisexual atheist, and he's got a trans boyfriend or something like that, and it's like it's very like if you think that I'm fucking confusing EMC, try to wrap your head around whatever the fuck's going on up there. But he's cool though. And then
I had no issues with any of that. It was the comments. It was the digging. I don't take well to digging. I mean, I think you experienced that with my first response video. Do you?
Do you mean like picking at a scab? What do you mean by digging?
Just constantly digging and making comments designed to upset me. You know how I am. I respond, and I often respond viciously. It's what I do.
Put me through the fucking ringer. I had to get you back at least once. What do they call that? Quid pro quo, I think.
I do give you a lot of shit. I do. I will admit that freely. I do. I
partner was like, why don't you just stand up to him? And I was like, okay. So I came up with this convoluted plan. It's like, I don't want to like outright destroy his fucking Discord. I was like, well, all right, I got an idea. And that's what I came up with in like an hour.
I will admit, I go at you really, really hard. Sometimes I give you a lot of shit. It's because of how we met. And
yeah.
So yeah, that's probably on me. That's probably completely my fault. I will admit that.
Right, and now we've done that, and now I consider us square. So,
alrighty. So I guess we're getting pretty close to wrapping up. You said that you wanted to stay up for a little bit in an after show. We should probably actually make sure you have the time to do that because people miss the after shows.
Yeah,
We haven't done one in
I
quite some
I
time.
do want to do I do want to appear in Discord VC for a while because yeah, it has been too long, and I trust me, in 2020 it will be happening much more. Discord will become more active in my routine. I promise. I do talk, but usually it's in the mornings, and most people are still sleeping when I'm talking. So.
Well, and for what it's worth, for all of you, I apologize to everyone who may have been frustrated by me getting stuck in my accent. I know some of you guys like it. I know other people enjoy mocking me for it. The general trolls were not in this particular chat, so I'm going to try to correct it. Today I just didn't have the time to do the mental preparation I usually do. But this is what I sound like most of the time. Like, this is what I sound like at home, and this is what I sound like when I speak privately to my friends. So the like American accent that I put on is legitimately fake. Like it is.
I wasn't laughing at you, Alia. Pat me the cat. Sometimes I smell dick on Will's breath, but I'm just a cat and more accurate in olfactory senses.
I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that gay shit anymore, Holmes. I don't do that gay shit.
It'd be quite all right
so,
if you did, Will.
is there anything that anybody would like to sort of address in the closing statements and such?
Sure.
I'm all good.
Sure. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, I would. So I'm just gonna put this out there that I'm a person that I stand by the fact that I'm extremely well known for my consistency and quote unquote my different behavior around mods. I think every single mod on your server, Alia Kai, has been in a chat with me and then told me, hey, I'm a moderator. And I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't know you're a moderator.
Oh,
and that's at the end of a conversation or in the middle of a conversation that we keep going on with. So
that's not what
my extreme consistency. I use the same name everywhere I go. I don't hide what I do.
Yeah,
extremely
Puff's
consistent.
always been honest with me.
Yeah, so the fact that I came in and I heard what I heard going on, and the fact that we had a political discussion beforehand, and then you started talking about hatching your plan, that was very concerning to me. And if I catch anybody doing some deceptive, underhanded, deceitful shit, I'm gonna try to catch them slipping.
You were on board. You were like, you said, and I quote, I can say what I think here because I know none of y'all are snitches, implying that you thought that the mods would snitch on you if you joined us in our crusade. So I'm fucking.
You want to start a crusade, but the U.S. government won't let you.
Oh, God. Unless you've got receipts, this is all hearsay as far as I'm concerned. And unlike in court, hearsay, in my opinion, is not particularly useful. This is a he said situation. So if you want to try to produce receipts, then I'm happy to see whichever one of you wants to do that. But up until then, I don't necessarily think that that's the best thing. Like, I think the accusations being hurled.
I will say, like, and I said this at the time, Will, and I'm not gonna say shit behind, which it really wasn't.
The only reason that I treated it as a raid and did not, go after Noka for banning you is because we got corresponding testimony from 3 different people involved in that raid that it was supposed to be a raid.
Yeah, and
that's the only reason that sort of thing was punished. But the thing is if you produce receipts for what you're saying for certain things, I'm a fair person. I don't play favorites. If you produce evidence for your accusation,
and the major thing here is that when Puff revealed that shit, your people were still in the chat, and not a single one of them said anything about it. And it was like at least 48 hours later that they started to actually talk about Puff and what Puff had said. They didn't have a damn word to say about it.
Oh no, Felgren actually did attack Puff in that voice chat.
I left early, so while I was there, they didn't say shit about it.
Yeah,
I ended up getting mad and leaving.
Felgren lashed out on Puff during the voice chat after you left, so I was witness to that.
The reason that I wasn't even there to defend myself in that so-called raid was because, if you'll recall, I in my video I did say that I left because
I haven't watched your video.
Yeah, we got the news. We got the news that the cancer was back. So I had to go be with my fiance. So I didn't even. It was like, I think it was a full 24 or 48 hours before I had even said anything about it because we were still dealing with that. So
You know,
Well,
I do feel bad. Like I reacted viscerally, but I reacted to information, and you've kind of backed it up. It might not have been a full blown raid, but you have backed it up that it was a raid. That you were there to disrupt. You brought people in to disrupt, and
Oh, yeah, I
not,
was
and
there
not
to
just the Discord, but the streams. And that was my main thing, was the streams. Because I'm trying to build my channel, not have people try to disrupt my channel. I get enough. I get enough of that from my enemies. I don't need that from people that I consider my friends.
all right, I won't fuck with you like that again. That's fine.
all right. So, again, it's going to be up to the moderators. Nock can plead his case with them if he would like to. They seem pretty resolute in their decisions.
I will plead
but
for Will, though, because I think
everything is up
inherently
to
he's a good guy.
discussion, and Nock is not allowed to override us, generally,
I'm
but
not.
he can. But he can plead a case, and he does have a lot of influence because it is technically his server, even though I'm the owner of it, just so that if somebody does something stupid, he doesn't get banned.
Yeah, I'm not a dictator, and in fact, I did step away from Discord intentionally because I was too involved in it, and everybody knows I'm fucking emotional. Will, you know this shit. Stop fucking with my emotions.
Take a dictatorial role, and I only take a dictatorial role when it's absolutely necessary. 99.9% of the time, like bans and subs are
kid myself.
democratic things. Like, you can ask Nock, almost every single ban that's ever happened on the server was voted on if it wasn't him getting mad at someone.
Yeah, they are more democratic than I am.
Nock gets put in the kennel every so often.
Like, yeah, they threaten to throw me in the
I have legit threatened to throw him into silenced.
yeah, like
you
literally,
guys
like I will
guys
go
sit
with
and
the
warn
warn
for a day or two,
You,
and there's nothing you can do
threatened to throw
about
me in
it
the
if I
warn
put
that
you
one
there.
time.
I did put you in warned once. But the point is every so often Nock gets thrown into the kennel. So again, he's allowed to go plead his case, but it's the mod's decision.
All right.
Yeah, and Will, just keep being good. You was good tonight. Like, you've been pretty much good since I called you
I
out.
only fucked with you because you fucked with me.
You've been pretty good since I called you out initially. And despite the J-Dubs debacle, I can't hold J-Dubs against you. I think that's another thing that I've kind of held against you. So, I'll plead your case, dog. I think that you're a genuine dude, that you are who you are. That's what I appreciate that about people. And I'm very forgiving. I'm a raging atheist teddy bear is what my name should be on this fucking channel, honestly. But, as Ali said, the moderators have to deal with your ass because I'm hardly there. So
It's going to be their decision, and I'm going to let them make that decision. I'm going to withhold judgment because, frankly, Will, you avoid me so much, I'm barely even familiar with you.
Well, yeah, that night
Apart
that we
from the
were
fact
in
that you
there.
attacked my character, which you did, you said that I was problematic, not that I understand why, considering I was the one who
'Cause
enabled
you're
you to be
smart.
there in the first place.
Dick smells like dick. They are on a dick fucking rant up in the chat. I love it.
So much penis. All right, anyway, go on, Will.
I'm trying to find my fucking receipts here. I think I did everything deliberately in voice chat so there wouldn't be receipts. So that's my fault.
God damn it, Will.
We
That's because
We have a guy named Dr. Oblivion in my server, and I'm not big on banning people, but he's an absolute fucking shithead.
Well,
he's
you know what? What I do want you to do for me, Will, is despite your admissions that Failgrun is a racist fuck, I do want you to apologize to him for me because I acted as Rage instead of Knock.
Well, I said EMC says racist shit, but it's like a verbal tick that he has.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I banned the guy because he pissed me off and not because he broke the rules, and that's on me.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
And every single mod gave him a round scolding, myself especially, because I give Knock a scolding every time he does something he's not supposed to.
Allie, there's something that Terry wanted me to say to you. Do you remember Terry, the one with the political compass?
Mm-hmm.
In his server, he renamed himself Nazi symbol Terry Akers, and it's like a running joke that the whole
fuck that guy. Well, fuck that guy.
Okay, and the funny thing is I never said Nazi symbol. I said Nazi dog whistle, which actually
it was a
is.
dog whistle. It was a dog whistle, and it was recognized like immediately. Like immediately, people saw that shit.
Because of you, Allie, in our server, he always begins every sentence with "as an author."
So he's a dick.
He is a dick. But I mean, he's a dick to me too. He calls me.
So why can't he be a dick and come on stream and try to be a dick?
So it sounds like somebody doesn't have enough of a life, honestly.
Like,
Like you got so butthurt over one comment. I made 2 comments to him total, and that entire thing.
Allie, we have literally offered the challenge to anybody to come in here and challenge you about whatever. In silence.
Seriously, I want a dumpster fire room.
Silence, but they go in these Discord servers and talk so much shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that, like, if you wanted to, I'd recommend probably letting Failground and Terry back on. EO Sapien Man, I don't know what EO Sapien Man got banned for because he didn't talk the whole time we were in there.
I think
he was associated with you.
Yeah, I think the mods. I think the mods voted on a mass ban of everybody involved in the raid except for Puff and Failgren, because Failgren actually did have a civil conversation with me when I challenged him about his political beliefs.
Right.
So, like, we ended up voting that he could stay, but the rest got banned.
And then Kitty Cutie, who okay, so she is associated with Brett Keane, but it's really not what you'd think.
Association with Brett Keane doesn't automatically is not
By the way,
automatically
Nog, I
disqualified.
hope that you cut this stuff off the end of the VOD because we're really dragging, like...
Yeah, we
this
are, like, going
drama
so far into this. All right, well, we will talk about this in private DMs and
we
shit.
don't want to be a drama channel, and we really dug into this, and I don't think it's healthy.
Well, I do think that it felt like an old open room, but yeah, we did get kind of into the quagmire of the drama of Discord. We can save that for Discord, Will, and it will be an ongoing discussion about your ass.
All right.
Oh, but this was fun. This was it felt like an old kind of style room to where we just went off on tangents and we had some deep moments, and then we had some I'll call them Will moments. But I will try to be easier on you, Will, because I do give you a hard time.
No, it's all right.
But so usually we will give like everybody a chance to plug, blah blah blah. We're just gonna get the hell out of here and go to Discord. Allie, do you have anything last second that you would like to announce?
Well, the big thing being, again, we talked about we're going to be launching a brand new series. The first episode should be up by the end of January, at the very latest beginning of February. We're going to be analyzing the Christian themes in non-Christian movies.
It'll be like the only edited content that I'll do for the first couple of weeks of January. Ali is starting that shit because I do need to take a break. I will do some streams, but edited content will be probably starting late January.
Well, and that's the big thing, is we're going to be trying to bring new content. One of the rewards that we've talked about is that the $20 patrons, there's going to be a raffle, and whoever gets drawn once a month may get to pick one of the movies that we take a look at for this series. And if we can find Christian themes within that movie, or Calvinist themes or Christian theology, etc., we will do that movie for that series. So that's going to be one of the Patreon rewards that's going to be rolling out. Nock's going to get a lot more selective and decrease the amount of response videos. So $10 and up patrons are going to be able to enter a raffle as well for who gets to pick a video once a month for Nock to respond to, and so long as he feels comfortable responding to it, that will happen. But folks who are not currently patrons, anybody who signs up between now and January, and again, none of this money is going to me. This is all for Nock. Like I've said over and over, I'm not going to get a penny, and I'm pretty sure John isn't either until Nock can feed himself off of his YouTube work. This is his channel. I'm just helping. Like, I'm part of the reason the Patreon rewards are getting overhauled, and it was my idea to give out a special prize. And, we had a discussion about what it's going to be, and I'm letting you guys know you are not going to regret. Every single patron, no matter what your patron level is going to get this special present because there's so few of you. If you sign up before the end of December, you are going to get it. And it is something that you are going to want. This isn't some, cock tease type thing. We're going to be like, oh, there's something.
Myself. It's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, there's going to be something, this is something Nock even wants. This is going to be awesome. You guys are going to want this reward, but you literally have to be a patron by December 31st, and your patron has to process in order to get it. So, like, you guys are going to want to do that, and all of your money is going to be going, like, he's putting it into a separate sort of space so that he can save up money to build this computer that we've been talking about. Because he wants to be able, he wants a better camera, he wants a better computer, he wants to give you guys better content, and this edited content is going to take a lot out of his computer.
My computer is about 7 years old, so in computer age, that is 139.
So, like, that's the big thing, is I want to push for the Patreon, you know, not for my own benefit, but for his and for you guys's, because the more that he can get, the better this content is going to be, the nicer everything's going to look, the better he's going to be able to stream, the less tech issues we're going to have. Like, you guys are going to be doing a lot of benefit, and you're going to get something
The
really
main thing is
fucking
the
special
editing
that we're
program.
both, like,
You know,
and he is, like, chomping at the bit to tell you guys what it is, and I told him he's not allowed
Yeah,
to.
I
We don't
can't.
want people to sign up specifically for this thing.
I'm
It's a
sworn to
mystery.
secrecy.
We're going to talk about it in January, on January 1st to 2nd, our first, you know, Seeing Red. We're going to announce what this special gift is. It's not going to be there potentially until April because we have to get the money together to get it done. But we're going to do it, and it's going to be special.
And I'm gonna have one, and maybe we'll have like a Patreon stream to where we all show our gifts. It's gonna be awesome.
All right, now I gotta go to Patreon. You fucker, you all this money, god damn it! I gotta buy Allie's fucking book. I gotta buy into the Patreon. I've already spent $15 almost on super chat.
I would
damn
tell
it.
you, like, I am so Dragnot Selvis though. Like, it's like it doesn't influence me. We're gonna have these raffles, and really my bar on doing videos is fairly low, so there's like a 99.9% chance that the video you want me to review will get reviewed. But mainly, like, you know, the better computer is gonna be awesome for live streams. But mainly it's like, you know, every time somebody recommends me new editing programs, I'm like, yeah, my computer won't take that shit. So it's going to be an all-around better product. I was hoping to be able to do it with my taxes. But car issues, I'm poor, fucking life happens. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're going to be working on Patreon, and we're going to be working on Discord. And my goal is to be participating more in the dumpster fire section of Discord. I want to be there. I want to be a presence, and I want to be talking shit. So
Naka 2020 apparently.
Yeah, 2020 is going to be different. Hopefully, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And Naka's going to have to clean up his language because YouTube, you know, Dear Susan is quite special, and Dear Susan wants us to be more advertiser friendly. And Nock may not have that much time left before he's going to have some difficulties with working. So we're trying to get his channel to the point where he can support himself. Because even though John and I are co-hosts, we know ultimately, like, this is Nock's passion project. He's worked his bloody ass off, and he deserves to be able to support himself off of his hard work. This is something he loves. You know, we've talked, and he says that this is the thing he looks forward to most in the morning, is getting up and working on these sorts of things. He loves streaming with you guys. We're trying to get it to the point where he can support himself and where he can bring you guys content that's worth supporting him, because he's amazing, and I'm incredibly grateful that he's let me be a part of this.
And pretty much no matter what, I'm still gonna fucking, even if it ends up I'm on a street corner with the laptop and a web camera, I'll still be talking to you motherfuckers. So.
Yeah, he's
save your dumpster fires for D-Live or something if you have to. Like, definitely don't let this die because of Susan, the dear leader.
Oh, we will still be having dumpster fires.
Hell yeah.
YouTube, I really think that YouTube will come back to the middle. Maybe we'll see.
That's
Right,
in my
so-
experience. I'm not sure, but yeah.
But yeah, we should get the fuck out of here. We've been streaming for a while. I want to thank I'm Concerned for coming on first time. You're welcome anytime. Thank you for sharing your story. And Will, you was good. Puffalophagus, I believe you. Not to start that dumpster fire again. But
you absolutely want to light the dumpster on
I
bloody
know,
fire.
I
Now
do.
that's all anybody's going to talk about. So
I know.
I am going to give provisional access to some channels for Will just for the after show, since he was a guest. But the mods are going to have ultimate authority about whether or not he stays. I think that's
I
fair.
think that's a good rule. If we do have a guest on, and don't worry, Tony, Jill's not allowed on my channel, so he'll never be a guest in the after show. But even if they are shunned, if they are a guest, that in the after show they should be able to come in as long as you behave yourself.
All right, give me a link. I'll be in.
All right. So I'm gonna get out of here. We're gonna see ourselves off on the Seeing Red crappy introduction I did, because hopefully it'll be the last time you guys get to see it. Yeah. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you soon. Hopefully tomorrow I will have a Raging Gear and Review Messenger reveal shit. We'll see. We'll see, because
warm
it
your
takes a lot of
hands
work.
by the dumpster fire and be the conversation.
Yeah, be the conversation.
You know, some of us think the
Thanks
Red
again,
Road
guys.
is hard,
Thanks.
very
And
hard.
thank you so much for coming.
But it all depends
We're
how
still
you
live.
make
We're
a
still
Red
live.
Road, whether it's
Yeah, we're still live.
wide
He's
or
rolling the
narrow.
ending credits.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be that asshole yet, though, not known for raging. You guys are going to hear a little bit of that from me tonight.
I can say my morality is better than Hitler. You know why? I haven't killed any Jews, dude. I haven't tried to take over the world. I haven't tried to push my shit on everybody. For you, how is my ethics the same as Hitler's? I mean, you're sitting here comparing fucking Hitler.
Prove it is better than Hitler's. Give me some kind of justification for that.